Hello,
Right.
NPBF fans and coaches alike. Welcome back to, at the time of recording, is the second coach's interview for playoffs that we are doing. Today, I am joined by coach of the Sligo Sandacondas himself, Steven. Why don't you say hello to everybody?
Yeah, how's it going, guys? What's up? I've been doing pretty okay this draft, so I'm just kind of a bit nervous doing this interview thing. So,
Don't be. This is just going to be us messing around, having some fun. I think
perfect.
Liam and I wound up being here for like almost 30 minutes, and he's someone that doesn't
Jesus.
talk, really.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like he
That's
told me like, "Hey, just have questions or whatever. Don't expect me to like be able to come up with anything because I'm not the best at talking." And then he and I wound up going for like 25, 30 minutes.
oh well, that's actually kind of nice. Holy shit, that's actually really cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, actually, all right. As well, I forgot to. Since this is going to probably be on YouTube, I'm going to try and like not curse as much
I mean, Jeff and I
because
curse on the recap all the time.
oh well, fuck it. So don't worry about it then.
Yeah, you're Irish. I don't expect you to not curse.
All right, fair enough. Okay, great. Great. Perfect, perfect.
So,
Uh,
didn't ask Liam this originally, but I got this information out of him initially, so I think I am just going to ask everybody this. Um, someone with the battling caliber of yourself, obviously, this isn't your first kind of experience with like competitive Pokemon. But why don't you tell me a bit about like your history with competitive Pokemon or even draft format? Like
oh man, Jesus.
what's gotten you here?
All right, so basically, I kind of started playing Pokemon around like the tail end of Gen 4 or like early Gen 5.
Mhm.
I kind of found out about Pokemon competitive from like watching like Shofu and like Magnitude and like fucking who are those guys? Like, what was that guy's name again? He used to upload those Gen 4 Wi-Fi battles on like really bad quality
Oh,
fucking camera.
Cooper.
No, not
No,
Cooper. Who was it?
Xerxes.
Xerxes was one, but there was another guy and I can't remember his fucking name. It actually bothered me.
God, I didn't know there was somebody well known for that besides Cooper and Xerxes.
Like I know Cooper and Xerxes, but there's like another dude. I can't remember his bloody name. Oh,
There.
it's actually escaping me.
Who else was doing that at the time? Superblah was doing that.
Super. I was doing it. Jesus, Super Bro, man. I haven't heard that name in so long. I remember MBZ. You remember MBZ?
I do remember NBZ.
NBZ was so man. Five Guys and a Giglet is still to this day one of my favorite like video series ever
He
when it comes to
actually
competitive
in
Pokemon.
when the decade ended, he did a really cool video series of I don't know if it was his top 100 games of the decade or just his top 100 games that he's ever done, but he did like a 10-part video series of it. It was really interesting just seeing the
Oh
range and
shit!
variety. Yeah.
Damn, I have to check that out. I have to check that out.
Yeah, it was really entertaining.
Yeah, yeah, like so like I came from that kind of era of like Shofu and like Peak Pokemon King for Life and like Joey back in the day and like all those kind of like guys. I like watch like a lot of their videos
Hmm.
and actually ironically enough, the first like YouTuber I ever watched when it came to Pokemon competitive was an Irish Pokemon YouTuber called Mully692.
Oh wow.
Now that dude is like he was literally like the very first like because I think at the time I was like research I was trying to find out how to get like because like at the time I was like playing black and white. It was like my first experience then with the internet. So I was trying to get my hands on like Zorua and stuff. Like at the time, you know, the event like with Victini and like
Hmm.
Zorua and all those kind of like old ass events that were like only on Wi-Fi, and I was like, oh my God, this is the first time ever I can actually do this. You know, because like a Pokemon back then was like held a lot of mystery in a way because it was
Yeah.
like there was a lot of cool like there was a lot of cool things that were accessible now with the internet. So
Yeah, you had to go to the stores and stuff to get all the event
yeah,
Pokemon or
dude, like
the
man,
items.
we never actually got the like the treasure map and like the items for like Mew back in Generation 3. Like I missed all that stuff. Like I missed all this the Entei Raikou Suicune events for Heart Gold, Soul Silver and Diamond
Really?
and Pearl. Yeah, like we never had them here, so
Oh
it was
wow.
just I never really knew it existed really until I actually got the internet. So but I figured out about it and I was like, oh, this is gonna be cool. So I'll look up some videos and stuff. And then after a while, I kind of just went into like a rabbit hole of Pokemon YouTube videos and I came across a guy who was like it was like Pokemon. I think it was like his 30th Wi-Fi battle, and he had like really good quality like Pokemon battles, and I was like, this is interesting. I'm gonna click on this, And lo and behold, it was an Irish YouTuber called Mully692 who, like, if he's ever out here and if he ever sees this video, like, man, I have to say thank you so much for putting me on this fucking road of Pokemon, because like without him, like literally, I probably would have never have like figured out about competitive Pokemon. And there's like a couple other things too
Yeah.
about like with people too that introduced me to competitive. Like I didn't start out like really good. I started out as a complete and utter noob, like, but I watched the videos and I was like, it was really interesting, like, because I never really knew that layer of depth to Pokemon for such a long time. And I
Mhm.
was like, I thought it was just like, oh, I'm just gonna spam Earthquake, and like, like I knew the concept of team building in a way, because like, when you discover like Focus Sash shit Ninja, you're like, oh my God, this is so fucking broken. And you're like, it's not really, but like, it's like Shedinja only has 1 HP, but if you give him a Focus Sash, he's gonna live for another turn. You're like, oh, this is so good, and I'm just like looking back, and I'm like, damn, man, that's crazy. But like, yeah, like I watched the videos, and like as I kind of explored more, there was like a whole other level of Pokemon that I never really kind of knew.
Mhm.
And like I remember like it was like early black and white, so you'd stuff like T-Tar, Rotom Wash, Gliscor teams with like Bandit Terrakion and like fucking defensive Gliscor, and like this was even before Landorus Therian was a thing, so like that's how old it was. It's like 2011-esque type of like time of Pokemon, which is like a long time ago. That's nearly like that's going to be like 12 years. Sorry, not 12 years. It's going to be 11 years this year for
Yeah.
me anyway. Like it's crazy to think about. But yeah, as I kind of like explored more of their videos and stuff, and like started exploring team building and stuff, I kind of came across Smogon. And like at the start, I was like, okay, I'm gonna like build a team that I kind of like to use, because at the time I was like, okay, I understand the concepts of like the of team building, but like I kind of wanted to play with some favorites. Like I'd build rain
Mhm.
teams, but I'd have a Honchkrow on it because I fucking love Honchkrow. Like it'd be like Politoed, Ferrothorn, and a Honchkrow. It's like, dude, what the fuck is this Honchkrow gonna do? It's not gonna fucking kill anything. Actually, surprisingly enough, that Pokemon is really good. But anyway,
Yeah, it is.
like it's just so like genuinely like Banded, like Sucker Punch and Brave Bird is just way too good.
Oh, I
And even
know.
running like mixed Heat Wave sets was just like really nice too, that I used to play with.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think there's a guy. Then I kind of like went into like a lot of groups and stuff, and like kind of like figured out how to like play the game a little bit more. And as I kind of progressed, I kind of found my niche, which was kind of like more like, for me, I like to play like balance, and I like to play a little bit of stall too. As
Mhm.
much as I'm gonna be completely upfront with it, like I like stall as a play style.
Of
And
course.
I know that sounds very controversial to a lot of people, because everyone loves hyper offense, or they love some form of balance, or like bulky offense. But I really like playing stall, because I like playing control in a way. Like
Mhm.
when it comes to like games, like when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh too, like with like for example, I play a lot of control decks, and
Of
like what
course.
I like to do is kind of like just play more so on make my opponent play by like my like make my opponent kind of play on my ground instead of like playing to them. Like I like that kind of play style. So stall was kind of interesting to me, because it was like I always like big tanky walls. I always do like stuff like Scarm, like Blissey, and like as of recent Toxapex and like fucking Hippowdon. Like I always too, right? As much as you can say that like Garchomp and like all the Volcarona and all those kinds of breakers are really cool, and like Hoopa and Bound, I really think that a lot of the cooler looking design Pokemon are tanks. Like Hippowdon's pretty fucking cool
Hippowdon's
looking.
awesome. Hippowdon's fucking
Hippowdon looks
awesome.
fucking dope, dude. It's a big ass hippo. Like
Mega
hippos are scary, dude.
Venusaur.
Mega Venusaur is fucking cool.
S-
Blastoise is kind of cool. Well, like, I
Mega
wouldn't say it's not
Sableye.
really. Yeah, Sableye too, I guess, to an extent. Um, like stuff like Aggron and shit like that. Like
Aggron's
I,
the
I just
fucking boss god.
yeah, like he's his Mega Form too on top of it made him look really cool. And like Skarmory looks really cool. Like there's like a lot of, for me, it's like a lot of my favorite Pokemon are really defensive Pokemon anyway. Like Toxapex, I know it's another Pokemon that I really like to use, as much as people fucking hate it. I really like Toxapex's design.
It makes
That kind of just
sense.
stuck with me. It kind of stuck with me, because it's just a little kind of like small little dude inside this big massive shell that's like protecting itself, and I'm like, I fuck with that. That looks pretty cool. Um, and actually, funny enough, my first draft, like entry into draft. Well, yeah, my kind of first entry into draft was like a switch draft, and
Oh
like
wow.
I had Toxapex on my team, because I was like, I'm going hard or I'm going home with this draft. And Jesse would even tell you too that I just like went in on that fucking draft. Like I really wanted to win that shit because at the time I had like no money for a Switch
Mhm.
because I kind of was like I was kind of saving up and stuff, just kind of building up my income. This like before like this is even after Sword and Shield came out,
Okay.
and like I just wanted to get the Switch really badly, and I was like I was probably gonna get one eventually. But I was just like, no, I need to like, I want to work for it. I want to try and get it. So I built the best team I could possible, and like, it really paid off. So it was really interesting. But
Uh,
yeah, like
That's
my
awesome.
yeah, yeah, like my whole thing with competitive like starts like way back Generation 5, and I played a good bit in Generation, like I literally like played a shitload of Generation 5. I played a lot of Rain and like a lot of Weatherless.
Oh man.
Rain was probably my favorite playstyle though. Even though they had like Drizzle like banned, Drizzle Swiftwind banned, like it was still one of the most like powerful, right next to Sand, I think. Anyway, yeah, it was one of the most powerful fucking play styles you could have like played
Oh
at the
yeah.
time.
Oh yeah.
Like I had like my first ever like reinstall team was Politoad, physically defensive Gliscor, um, mixed defense wall, T-Wave spikes, T-Wave spikes, Power Whip, Ferrothorn, Tentacruel. Excuse me. Oh God, excuse me. I just had a little burp there. Oh, Jesus. Um, Maybe it's just like my subconscious, like trying to like gag at the thought of me like running stall at the time because it was so
I mean, you
degenerate. Like
guys can't see my face, but like I'm just like like just the look on my face right now is just like, oh shit, he brought a
like
stall Gliscor into a rain team.
like it was actually like I really because like at the time when like Black and White 2 was especially around, like you had to like run stuff to deal with like Bandit Terrakion because Bandit Terrakion was like the
Oh
strongest
yeah.
Pokemon in that meta. Like it was like Bandit did like would literally 3 hit KO Gliscor. Like that's how strong it was. Like it was really
Wow.
strong. Like I know like people nowadays like look at Terrakion, it's like this Pokemon's whatever, but like back when it was in its prime, it was like the most terrifying Pokemon you could come across. Like it was really like if you were going across it, you were like, okay, I have to play a 50-50 here if I don't have a good counter to it. And like stuff like Gliscor and Landorus, and like man, I remember even teching like defensive Golurk at one point because Golurk literally is immune to fighting, is immune to CC, and it like resists Stone Edge. So like it was literally like I use it kind of like as a kind of a like a tanky kind of lead with rocks. It was it was interesting. It was a different time. It was really fun to play. But yeah, like just like I played a lot of Generation 5, and then Gen 6 I played a shitload of like XY Pokebank pre-bank Pokemon
Mhm.
because that's when all the broken stuff like Aegislash, Mega Kangaskhan, Mega Lucario, Mega Blaziken, like in that kind of era was like really good. And you had like Dio Sharp, which was like one of my, actually to be honest, I don't really like playing a lot of hyper offense, but Dio Sharp is like pretty good, pretty degenerate, but pretty good. Like you run like Deoxys defense or your Deoxys form, set up hazards, and then just like if they go to Latios to try and defog it, you basically kill it with Bisharp because you get +2 off Defiant and just pursue trap it, and then you just like set them up again.
Oh
It's just
man.
easy removal. And
That's
you run shit like
dirty.
fucking yeah, you run shit like Volcarona and like Manaphy on it. It's just like man, it's just such a degenerate team. And then I kind of like I when Oras came around, then it was like I was kind of in college. I kind of just like kind of stopped playing for a bit. Um,
Okay. That
and
makes
then like
sense.
yeah, like I kind of just didn't really play much of it. And when Generation 7 came back into it, I was like, you know what? I haven't played it in a while. I may as well get back into it. And a lot of things were like so like a lot of things were different. Like I still kept up with like watching videos and stuff and like kind of like you kind of like build teams on the side, but I just didn't really have the energy to kind of play
Mhm.
Pokemon really. So like a lot of like when Generation 7 was introduced, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get back into it and have a bit of fun or whatever. And then like I met a lot of people, like a lot of people
I
that
think that's
introduced
where
me
you
to
and
it.
I
Like
first met.
yeah, we basically kind of met around that time. Like I met like a lot of people from like Battle Arena and stuff like that,
Yep.
and
What
like
a
yeah,
throwback.
what a throwback, man. Jesus, like 2016, 2017, yeah, 2016. Jesus, like it's
It,
crazy to think about like how fast time has gone
it
in the
really
last
is.
couple of years, dude. Like Jesus Christ. But
And
like
shout out to Battle Arena, by the way, because now, like, you think about that. Like, we met there. Brock's destroyed the entire D League.
yeah, he's actually ripping it up there. Like he's actually doing pretty well. Like his team is pretty nasty. I was looking at it there the other day. I was like, Jesus Christ, that team is pretty good. Like
Yeah.
Spec Scar, was it Spec Mega Pincer? Like Mega Pincer is like one of those megas that I like. That is like another, like it's kind of like Charizard Y in a way where it's like back when it was like lethal.
Yeah.
It was lethal. It was like a fucking switchblade, dude. That thing like, could literally to a KO Landorus if it was like if it had like +2. It was really strong. Such
Yeah.
a strong fucking Pokemon.
Yeah, if James hadn't drafted Gyarados onto my team because of the bet I lost to him last season, I would have probably gone Mega Pinsir instead of Mega Gallade.
Yeah, like I was thinking about picking up Mega Pinsir, but then I was like, oh, I'm kind of 4 times weak to fucking I'm 4 times weak to 4 times weak to rocks. What am I gonna do? And I end up picking Mega Charizard anyway. So like,
Yeah, but like
uh,
nothing really wants to deal with a fire type move from Charizard.
yeah, Charizard Y is like, especially in Generation 6, man. Generation 6 Charizard Y is like it's just so hard to just kind of it's very hard to counter. It's very like it has a lot of soft checks. It doesn't really have a reliable hard counter outside of like
No.
Chansey Blissey. And
No.
even then, like I remember back in the day when I'd run like you run a mixed attack Charizard Y and just 2 a KO Blissey with Flare Blitz. Like that shit was like it did 64 to Blissey.
Oh my
But
god.
like yeah, it was so good, dude. Like I remembered that shit. That was so good. And like Zard Y Mew was really good too because like Mew is obviously like one of the best
Oh yeah.
one in the game. Like it really is. I'd stand by that because it's just it's like a Swiss Army knife and what it can do. It's very versatile.
Especially 6 gen.
Yeah, especially six. Considering like how much like pursuit traps, like a lot of like pursuit traps, you can kind of punish them with Wisp and have Colbert in as well on top of it to kind of like
Yeah.
circumvent shit. Like it was really really good. It was really strong. Still is kind of strong because it has like a lot of utility. You got even got more utility now in Generation 8. Like Jesus Christ, it can be like suicide spikes offense now with like flare blitz and stuff to hit like Ferrothorn and shit like that. It's really good. It's a
Yeah.
really good Pokemon.
It's super good.
Um,
But
yeah, like oh sorry,
no, I was no, no. Finish your thought. I was gonna. It's a decent segue into our like into the first question I had, but I want you to finish your thought. This is for
oh,
people to get to know you, so they can get invested in your games and cheer you on to win the whole thing.
well that's kind of flattering to think about actually. But yeah, like I suppose then like Generation 7 then I to finish on my thought. Sorry, I went on a lot of tangents
No,
here. Like,
no,
geez.
no. I want to get to know Steven. I don't think this is a wrong way to get to know you.
Perfect. That's good to know anyway. But yeah, like in Generation 7, like I kind of came back into it. Like there was a lot more like obviously like things had rapidly changed. Like Hoopa and Bound being just as strong as it was back in Generation. Well, actually, yeah, it kind of was still strong in Generation 7. Now that I think about it,
Oh
and
yeah.
you know stuff like you know Mega Ments and like stuff like that kind of being introduced, and obviously that got banned later on because it was just such a broken Pokemon. Um, but like you know, introduction of like the Tapus and stuff like that was really interesting. Like Lele was, I think honestly, I think Lele was probably my most used Tapu in Generation 7 outside of Bulu. I really like to run Bulu. Bulu was like one of my favorite. Like especially Choice Banded Bulu. That shit really fucking hits
You don't
hard.
hear
Like
that
what?
that often. Most people really look at Blue as like the stepchild of them, like the one they'll use
Yeah.
if they have to. They'd rather use the other three.
No, I love Bulu. Dude. I just really like Bulu's design because he literally looks like a bull and he looks menacing with his big like to me like when it comes to like a Pokemon like I I know that some Pokemon are like better than others. Like I'm gonna be completely honest. Like as a competitive battler, I know that like a lot of Pokemon like in terms of like their ability stats, typing and stuff like that, and move pool, like they're obviously superior in some aspects. Like you take like Tapu Koko with like a Magneton. Obviously Tapu Koko does like so much better.
Of course.
But like when I look at the Tapus, I'm like there's not really like especially in Generation 7. Well, yeah, in Generation 7 especially, like you could like look at a Tapu and be like, okay, there is some usage for you. Like no matter what way you look at it, like I know Tapu Fini wasn't as good back in Generation 7. Generation 7 because it didn't have like a lot of reliable recovery and stuff, but it was a good stall breaker in the fact that it had Taunt, Nature's Madness, can trap you with Whirlpool, like
It's
really really
so
strong.
annoying
Like
to deal with.
It's such a it's I think like one especially as a stall as a stall player like the biggest things I hate like facing and I'll always prefer when it comes to draft or when it comes to anything would be like whirlpool like fucking shenanigans or nature's madness kind of like crap
Yeah,
like I just don't yeah it's not a big thing for me um but like yeah like with like Bulu like for me I just really like to use Bulu because like design wise he just looks like a really cool looking Pokemon like they all look really cool
they
but
do.
to
The
me
Tapus have great designs.
like they do look really, really cool, but to me, like Bulu seemed like to be the most intimidating one because it's just he's more like physically like he like Coco obviously is like faster. Finny's a lot more like graceful. Lele is a lot more kind of like innocent and like kind of like cheeky kind of in a way. But
Hmm.
then Bulu's like really like I'm here to like wreck your shit. Like I'm not gonna fuck around at all in the slightest. And I'm like, I like that Pokemon. I like him. He's going on my team. I really like him. So like you're running like Bandit Voodoo is like my favorite thing to run back in Generation 7 because you like do so like especially with grassy terrain wood
Hmm.
hammer like that thing just hits
Oh
so
God.
fucking hard,
Yeah.
so bloody hard, and like it sucks because like Rillaboom just kind of like Rillaboom's just much better in the fact that it gets like a little bit more like it gets knockoff and gets U-turn, which are like getting momentum and getting a way to get rid of like to hit like ghost types especially and like to get rid of items. It's just really, really good. And like Bulu doesn't have that, but Bulu is still a really solid wall breaker. So I'm pretty sure Bulu gets Grassy Glide, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it got Grassy Glide.
Yeah, so like it didn't it like it's still really really strong. Like I know if Grass Fairy is like isn't exactly the most ideal typing because like
At
it's
least I
not
think it
really
got Grassy Glide. That may have been a fake leak. I know Rillaboom has
uh,
it, obviously.
yeah. Actually, yeah, it might not have gotten it actually because yeah, I don't think it did because like didn't it say like Lele would get expanding force and like have rising voltage for Coco and then it turned out to be fake.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
could you
yeah.
imagine? Imagine if they got those moves, man. Oh my God, Lele would be so stupid.
Yeah.
Oh my God, expanding force Lele. Now that I think about it, genuinely makes my skin crawl.
Very bad.
Fucking hell. But yeah, like I met, like as I said, like yeah. So like to get back to what I was originally kind of saying, like I met a lot of great people, especially like in this draft, especially, and like a lot of people in general through playing Pokemon for a while. And I've definitely learned a lot. I'm still like open to learning a lot more too because like there's so many different avenues, like different ways to play, and like do you know what I mean? It's just like
Oh,
just so
yeah,
much
of
more you can
course.
do. Like you can utilize. That's why I like draft too. I think draft is kind of like opened up like a whole different thing for me because I'm just like, oh, I like using really like ridiculous mons like Lantern. Okay, I'll have it then. Perfect, I'll take that. Lantern's good. Water electric, pretty good typing. Gets water absorb and gets volt absorb. Perfect. So yeah, that's pretty much a in like that's pretty much a long-winded history of me. Uh, but yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, I mean, if you don't know Steven now, like, I don't know what to tell you. We could end this video now, and I think we'd know everything
Look,
we
man,
need
like
to about Steven. But that's not why we're here. We wanna talk about the NPBF season 15. We want to talk about the playoffs. We want to talk about the regular season. We want to get all the interesting information about you and your team and what you've done and what you look to do in the coming weeks.
okay, yeah, yeah, that makes
So
sense.
it was interesting. One thing you mentioned earlier was that you took a break, especially mainly during ORAS. You mentioned so like you didn't
Mm,
your drafting experience really began in Gen 8, or, uh,
mm,
as you said. Even though like 6th and 7th to a degree, but definitely 6th is when it was like huge and massive and really
yeah,
popular.
yeah.
So with that in mind, since like prior to this you'd only done 8th, what did you think of doing a throwback to 6th gen for a season?
Well, it was great to go back to Generation 6 in general because like I think Generation 6 was probably the more balanced. I think it was probably the most like favorable towards balance. I think it's
I
one of the more. I
agree.
think honestly, if we look at Generation 6 as a whole, I think it's like one of the that and generate like ADV is like they're probably the two like Generation 3 is what ADV is if anyone doesn't know. Like they're like that and Generation 6 are like probably like the two best like balanced metas
I think I would
because
agree.
like you have like a lot of tanky stuff like Clef was really strong. You have like defensive landers, Gliscor. Everything had like a purpose in a way. Like you could kind of like tech. There was a lot of cool techs like stuff I remember seeing like reflect type Latias being a thing, reflect type like Starmie really being really good, like to kind of like avoid pursuit trapping from Bandit T-Tear. Um, like you could kind of like play around like stuff like that, and you could like you could, there's like a lot of unique stuff to it. So like for me, it's like playing balance in a favorable generation, playing balance in a generation that favors balance. To me, it's just like perfect. That's literally what I want. So with me, I just like I remember I was thinking about it. I was thinking of some broken Pokemon. I was like, okay, Kieran Black, really really good. Charizard Y, really really good. Stuff like Suicune, Gliscor, like Mew. Like I had to pick those Pokemon especially because like they're just really really good off like
They
like
are.
defensive and just balanced picks in general. So I
Yeah.
think going back to Generation 6 really kind of opened up a bit in terms of like this is what like this to me it's like it was kind of like a really nice callback to like when you'd run into like really unique balanced teams like Gliscor, Hippo, Starmie kind of cores with like like Breloom and stuff like that. Like really really tanky
Yeah.
stuff. You run like Zone, and I remember like Zone being ran at some point as well in some of those teams because you want to get rid of Scarm and stuff. So like Gloom and stuff could like fucking sweep and shit. Like oh dude, Generation 6 was a good is and still like was and still is technically if you still play it a really good metagame.
It is. I think Generation 6 is probably my favorite, like, meta.
Yeah, to be honest, I'd be inclined to agree with you. But I just yeah, like it's such a good meta because it favored a lot of like really defensive Pokemon and as well as that it favored a lot of like really like good offensive Pokemon too, like Hoopa. Well, a lot of the really good, a lot of the really good like busted sweepers were banned in Generation 6.
Yeah.
And like I think as well during the tail end of Gen 6 was Mega Sableye suspected and
It,
banned as
it
well.
was. It was. It,
Yeah,
it got banned right as the generation was ending, but they were looking at suspecting it within months of when Oris came out.
yeah,
I
yeah.
remember
Cause
hearing
like
that.
yeah, cause like Mega Sableye is like honestly I would have probably if I actually to be honest if I didn't like go with Charizard Y I think or Mega Pinsir I probably would have picked up Mega Sableye though I think it was picked first before I got a chance
Actually,
to.
no, it wasn't.
Was it really not?
It went undrafted until Liam picked it up in free agency right before
Shit.
right before our trades and transactions were done. I think it was after my game with him week 7. He totally rehauled his whole team. Dropped Terrakion, picked up and he dropped Terrakion, he dropped Mega Venusaur, he picked up Chansey, he picked up Mega Sableye.
Jesus, yeah, fucking hell. Like honestly, if I can't really think of a Pokemon that could combo really well with Kieran Black, it would be Mega Sableye.
Oh yeah.
Just
Well,
being, well, yeah,
the
like in a way to
fairy.
kind of just, yeah, true, I suppose. Yeah, I guess. But like, I guess for me, it's like Mega Sableye is really good. It would have been really good to pick, but
Oh,
like,
would have.
yeah, but like Mew, I think probably more favorable in there for me because like, and Mew is just so versatile,
Yeah, Mew's done a
and like
lot
I
of
know,
good.
yeah, like Mew has just done incredible things for me this draft. It's just so good, man. It's literally the fucking like, it's holding the team together. Like,
So, in that regard, would you say that Mew did better than you expected? Like, it surprised you how well you did, or is Mew doing about what you expected it to do?
no, I think Mew pretty much nailed what I expected it to do because I was looking for a really strong defogger or like just in general like something that could because like I'm obviously running like Kieran Black and Charizard Y, so there at the start I'm like okay I really need to get something that's really good for hazard removal.
Yeah.
So like I went with Gliscor too as well because Gliscor like while obviously you can't run defog or poison heal like it's still a solid Pokemon to still run because it's got ground flying, ground really solid ground immunity.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't really affected by rocks that much. Um, it's not a bad option. It's not a bad option at all. But then Mew was like, okay, I can be a little bit more like flexible with this Pokemon because I can run Defog if I want to, or I can kind of like choose to like not bring Kieran Black and Charizard and bring like an offensive Mew set. which I have thought about for a while, but I just like Kieran Black is just too good not to run. You
Oh
know, it's
yeah,
such a good Pokemon, such a dominating Pokemon. It's just so strong. And
yeah.
like, yeah, I think Mew really did like hit everything that I wanted to do perfectly. It's done, it's been versatile. It's defogged away a lot of stuff. It was really interesting because I had a really good set for Jeff when I was fighting him the second time, but I didn't get the chance
Oh
I
wow.
didn't really get the chance to shine, which sucked. I
Yeah,
really played that one incorrectly, but I still managed to pull
you
it through anyway. So
you pulled it out.
yeah,
It's good to hear though about Mew because a lot of people always draft it, for that versatility,
mm,
for the pocket knife kind of aspect that you have, but they wind up finding it usually pigeonholed into having to be that defogger, having to be that defensive or support Pokemon, not really getting to
mm,
do everything it gets to do at least once during the season. So it's nice seeing Mew really getting utilized more to its potential.
yeah, because like I like. And this is the thing with draft too. Like you shouldn't really, as I said, you made a really good point there. It's like a lot of people tend to like draft stuff and either not use it or just like pigeonhole it, or just like okay, it's gonna be this set. It's gonna be this set for the entire draft, and that's it. Like don't do that. For me personally, I just don't like doing that because for me it's like I'm gonna use the Switch draft as an example, right? So when
Mm-hmm.
I think my team was really strong. I had like Zygarde 100% and like fucking Toxapex, Weavile, Terrakion, like really, and for just like really strong. Like I went all out in trying to get a really strong team for this draft. And like I remember fighting, I was a Chris, yeah, Chris. I fought um for playoffs, and he had my whole game plan was essentially to remove Finny and like have
Mm-hmm.
Zygarde kind of like win late game. So I ran I ran an infestation, Poisonium Z, Merciless
Whoa.
Toxapex,
Whoa.
and it just flat out like I literally was like, okay, this is going to work because he's not going to expect this. He is going to expect, obviously, he's expect defensive Toxapex because he's like, okay, obviously it fits that role. It's gonna obviously do this thing. But I was like, I was looking at his team because he had like Garchomp and like fucking
Mm-hmm.
Porygon 2 as usual, of course. Porygon 2 on every fucking team,
Yeah.
which is fine.
Yeah.
It's a good Pokemon. I can see why he brings it. He had like
Yeah.
Arceus,
Oh.
and I'm just like, okay, I'm not gonna play Toxapex in a defensive way because it's gonna be passive as fuck in this game. So I wanted to like utilize it in a way that will benefit me, but I can use it as fodder later on. Like I just really wanted to get rid of like Feeny at the time for Zygarde, and I should just clicked with me perfectly. And it's like, as you said, like you shouldn't really pigeonhole Pokemon in draft to do just one thing. Like think outside the box a bit. Like try and do something new. And I mean, yeah, as well. Obviously, people like standard kind of sets, and I can understand. I can relate to that to a degree because sometimes the standard does work more
Of
often
course.
than your tech. But like if you have an opportunity to do it, you may as well do it. Especially if you're like really like if you're snowballing or if you're like have a really good differential, you may as well just go fuck it. I might try something different. Even if you lose, it's fine, you
Yeah.
know? But you can kind of like utilize it and like be like, okay, I didn't do it correctly this time. Maybe I can try it again the next time, you know? So just kind of like don't really like pick Pokemon and not either not use them or just like not use them to their fullest potential. That's what I would probably give for advice when it comes to like drafting in general. Because
Yeah.
like I've even fallen into that trap a couple of times. Like I used like Gorgeist once or twice during this draft, and I'm like it's seen it like I think every Pokemon I've used has seen some form of play. I think don't really know off the top of my head if everything's gotten play, but I think everything has gotten play.
Or close to
So
it.
or close to it. So you may as well kind of like utilize everything you can because it's like at the end of the day you're drafting like what like 12, 13 Pokemon, is that correct?
I think we're at 12.
Yeah, so like you may as well use everything if you can.
Yeah.
If not most of it, you know what I mean? Or try and like find something new or innovative to try and like utilize, you know what I mean?
For sure. Definitely the best thing to do when you're drafting a Pokemon, I think, is you either get something that can do a bunch of different things pretty well,
Mm.
or you get a thing that does only one thing, but it does that one thing better than anything else.
Yeah, yeah. Like take a look at something like say Mandibuzz is a pretty solid like Mandibuzz is actually a really interesting one because like when I'm looking at Mandibuzz right now, if I was to draft it, I'd be like, okay, really good defogger, especially if I'm playing Generation A because I have access to boots,
Yep, right.
which really helps. Knock off utility, defog can roost, can U-turn if it needs to because it can gain momentum that way, which is really really good, especially in draft if you gain like especially in general with Pokemon if you have more momentum, you're basically going to snowball your opponent. But like I think I remember playing Little Cup and like there was a Vullaby set that had like nasty plot,
Oh no.
weak armor, and I'm like, okay, I could probably try that because that sounds really cool. Because I'm pretty sure it gets like Air Slash and like
Yeah.
Dark Pulse and
Yeah, it
Heat Wave
does.
too. I think it gets Heat Wave too. I'm pretty sure,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
I'm pretty sure it gets Heat Wave.
Yeah, so like you could, and it gets weak armor too. So if you get hit, you basically get a +2 for free. And Mandibuzz is tanky, so
Oh
like
man.
most things it gets, like most thing it resists, or if it gets hit by, it's probably tanking it pretty well, and you're probably gonna like destroy your opponent, or you might just like nerf a bit of their team and then just like clean up late game. You know?
Oh, for
So
sure. I definitely this season has been really good for me with doing exactly what you said and trying new things. I have had one mon that didn't hit the field in Dusknoir, but by the time I picked it up, a lot of my matchups really didn't like it didn't work in those matchups. But like I don't know, I got to experiment with bringing a fully special Gyarados, and I think that's really cool that I did it
that yeah,
and it
yeah.
worked.
Yeah, like it's just you and I think to be fair, like you have been on fire when it comes to like playing games because I've seen some of your games. You've been actually doing really really strong. Like my God, like I like Mega Gallade for example is like a really like I think a lot of people seem to underestimate how good that Pokemon is
It's so good.
because it's like isn't it what like 110 speed and like
110
fucking
speed, 165 attack.
165 attack. That's a really good speed tier, and that's a really good attack stat. Like you may
Yeah.
as well utilize that shit. Gets like knockoff, and like as we've seen from like Mega Medicham, like
Mega.
psychic fighting is a strong offensive fucking typing.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
it,
know,
it is, and it gets bulk up, it gets sword stance,
mm.
it gets
You could
power
run so
punch.
bulk up. You could run Swords Dance if you wanted to, as you said. Like it's so strong. It's a really like it's like obviously for me when I look at like some Pokemon, I'm looking okay. Like I've played ladder and I've played standard and I've played OU and UU and everything like that for like a long time, and I'm like, but in draft at least gives me an opportunity to play with something that I can like that is really really good, but just does not see enough play in standard because it's just like people seem to forget like as well like you can draft like the most like broken team like you can draft like oh, I want to get Ferrothorn, Tentacruel, fucking Gliscor, oh that's just sorted dude I'm perfect, but like you have to you
You're,
have to remember that there are Pokemon there that are like really really strong in lower
yeah,
tiers that are not weak at all. They're really really strong, but they just get outclassed by other things. Like it's just like stuff like Mega Gallade, like Mega Medicham does it so much better because it just has much more firepower.
yeah,
But
the pure
Mega
power,
Gallade
man.
has, yeah, that thing hits like a fucking like dude. That's one of my favorite megas in in general. That Pokemon hits so strong.
It's so
That thing is
good.
so strong, dude. Like I've seen Deshaun use it, and I'm like, man, that thing just fucking absolutely destroys everything.
Yeah,
Like if that thing got close combat, man,
that would be
that's
that would
just
be
game
over.
over, dude.
It's game
It's game
over.
over, man. This game over. Like, fair enough, you're losing the 120 from HJK, but you get 100 accuracy, and you just spam close combat consistently. It's just really really good.
Yeah, get webs on that team, it's over.
Yeah, it's really strong. It's so good. Yeah, like yeah. So like just especially with like yeah. What was it saying again? Mega Gallade
Versatility and or
versatility.
things
Yeah,
being really good. Get something that's really good. In this case, with draft, you get to get stuff that's good, but doesn't get to see play because if you're playing on the ladder, like you're trying to win, so everyone's running the best stuff and the stuff that is
that
known to
works.
work. So
Yeah,
why do
yeah.
anything else? You don't get to experiment, and you get to experiment in draft.
Yeah. So like especially like another really and okay, I'm gonna let out a little secret here, right? There's like a little core that I really like to play, and I think I've seen someone talk about it before, and I was like, huh, that's interesting. A really good defensive core in Celesteela and Lantern, right?
I would never think of
Celesteela
that, but that works so
because
well.
they cover each other's weaknesses pretty well, and like
Perfectly.
like obviously they don't really have much reliable recovery, but like Leech Seed is pretty good, and like Water Absorb and Volt Absorb. like water is like the most commonly used type in the game, so like
Yeah.
you may as well just utilize Lantern in that regard and get health back. It's got a really, really big HP stat too. It's like
Yeah, it
150 or
just
something, isn't it?
doesn't go. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's well over a
It's
hundred.
really, really big.
It's so
So
fat.
like I know it's like physical and special defense are like 75 and like 80, I think, or something like that. If I see, I can't really remember off the top of my
They're
head. So
low, but it doesn't matter because its HP is so
yeah,
high. It's the
the
same
HP stat.
thing. It's
Yeah,
the same
so
thing
good.
with why you see people run physically defensive Vaporeon. Its defense
Mm,
is not good, actually. It's just that Vaporeon has the base 130
high.
HP
Yeah, 130 HP is just so good, man.
and then
It's
has a
so strong.
decent enough special defense stat that you can just dump everything into physical defense and it just won't die.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen. I think is it. There's one guy that keeps. Is it Shawnee? I think that
Shawnee has
plays it. Yeah.
Vaporeon.
Yeah. He always draft. I think it's like he always drafts comfort picks, which is fine. Like, cause again, like Vaporeon is such a good cheap. It's a cheap pick to
Yeah,
get. Like, you know,
for sure.
like, like especially as well. Another thing I'd like to say too is like pick up like really good cheap stuff.
Oh
Because
yeah.
everyone's obviously gonna want to go for like the really high stuff at the start, but you can be like, okay, I'm gonna try like a hail core, like Arctizolt Abomasnow is like really, really cheap. Like if you want to pick that up, you may as well pick it up because it's a
Listen,
really strong core.
listen. I thought ice was a death sentence when we did mono, and I got stuck with the ice type. And I mean, I made playoffs. I was one of the top teams.
Yeah,
I was
dude,
my
like
division leader. Arctizolt was great.
Arctizolt is so good, dude.
Abomasnow did his job.
Like I played Alan in a playoff last week
Hmm.
with I think he had like Vanillux. He had a small like literally cheap hail core like Vanillux Arctizolt, and I'm like
That's
every time I see that
that's
core, I'm like,
that's bad.
I'm not gonna underestimate it. I'm not gonna underestimate it. That core is strong. Like that's a because like as well, Arctazol gets freeze dry too. So like I had Seismitoad in the team. I was like, oh wait a minute now, I could probably like hold back and like not like use him religiously to switch
Yeah.
into Arctazol. So you gotta like like stuff like that. You can pick up like really cheap. Like the Gigalith Sandslash is another really interesting core that's
I would have
kind of
never
really
thought
quick
of that, but that's
because
actually really
Sandslash
interesting.
is Sandslash is really it's a cheaper Excadrill, but it's really tanky. Actually, it is pretty tanky. Yeah, it gets access to like Earth. It gets Edgequake definitely. It gets
Oh
Swords
yeah.
Dance. It gets stuff like Exeter and it gets Knockoff. It gets Rocks. It gets Spikes. Like it's solid, man. It's a really good Pokemon. Really, really good Pokemon.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about like lesser known things that are really good or things that like could be good. We've touched on how Mew did everything you wanted it to.
Mm.
You picked it for its versatility. You got its versatility. It did exactly what you wanted. Did you have anything that you got that like you had a specific plan in mind or you had an idea of what you thought it was going to do for you and then it just blew that out of the water? Like it was so good.
Um, for me, off the top of my head, I think, hmm,
Like
maybe like I don't know, like I think everything kind of worked out pretty okay. Like everything kind of did its role. Honestly, I think what Pokemon am I trying to think of now? Um, I think it's Gourgeist. I think for me,
mhm.
like I forgot how like interesting that Pokemon is because like Ghost in general is like one of the I
It's a
think especially after post Gen 6, it's like one of the best typings.
Oh, for sure. Gorgeist
And
gets
like
overlooked because of Trevenant in Gen 6.
yeah, and like just in general, like it's a really good ground resist, and it's really solid in the fact that like stuff like Zygarde and stuff like those really heavy hitters like Excadrill and stuff like that. I know obviously Excadrill is stuff like Ironhead and stuff to circumvent it, but like Gourgeist is really like I forgot how really good that Pokemon can be. The potential it has is really good. Like sub Will-O-Wisp, sub Leech Seed. You can run a faster variant of it. Run Scarf, run Choice Band if you want to. Like stuff like it has like, access to stuff like Memento and Explosion. So like and it has Trick Room too. So if you want to be like very interesting with it, like I've had like a lot of interesting thoughts with Gourgeist. But for me, yeah, I think maybe Gourgeist is probably the Pokemon I expect it to be like whatever, but it has kind of performed, and I actually like seeing it now. like I might actually pick it up even more in the future, considering how like bulky it is and how cheap it is to get. You know,
That's really
because
cool.
like oh sorry, go on,
No, no, I
sorry,
was
I
just gonna say,
apologize.
especially because it's something you haven't brought that often.
Like it's come up a lot in like in a lot of my like my skeleton in some
Mm-hmm.
teams because I'm just like okay it's pretty good, it can do this, it can do this, but then I kind of like push it to the side because I don't think I'm very confident with it yet, you know what I mean? Like
Oh, for sure.
there's some Pokemon I'm like okay I can definitely make this work, but I'm for like games that matter I'm just like maybe I'll use you another time, like I'll use you for later, or I'll use you like in another draft, or I'll use you in some point, but I'll put you to the side because I got like for me like I write down a lot of my sets, I write down a lot of my ideas. I'm like because I think one of the goons especially does it,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he's gotten the rest of us doing it too. Jesse, he just like he literally writes everything down uh to like sorry I'm gonna reveal some of your secrets, but like he writes a lot of stuff down, and
That's
I'm
really
thinking about it, I'm
smart.
just like yeah like he does a lot of I'm not gonna like he writes down a lot of stuff which is really good, but like for me I just like I write down a lot of ideas. Any kind of
Mm-hmm.
idea I get when it comes to Pokemon, I just write it down. Like for me, like like stuff like Gorgeist, for example. Like I have a ton of really interesting sets I could run. Like as I said, Choice Band,
Right.
Memento, like Fast Sub Leech Seed. Because like honestly, like small Gorgeist, like the smaller version of it, is actually really really good
Mm-hmm.
because it's
For
still
sure.
decently tanky, but it has like base 95 speed. It's really fast. So you can basically get free fast subs on things, and like you can just Will-O-Wisp, cripple stuff, or you could just like Leech Seed, and it gets access to Power Whip, and it gets, ironically enough, it gets stuff like Flamethrower, which is like
That's
wait,
so
which
funny.
makes it's so funny. It makes sense because it's a pumpkin, because you put like little tea lights into pumpkins, and like you can kind of like it makes that kind of a fiery effect when you put it into a pumpkin, but like
That's
it's
so
it's funny,
cool. I
it's
love little
interesting.
things like that.
It's really interesting when you think about it. But like, yeah, like, yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, so like,
Gorgeist
I went,
surprised you. It did better than you thought it was going to.
yeah, it did, and even though I haven't brought it a lot, like, even just coming up with ideas for it, I'm like, okay, I could probably use it later on, or I could use it in another draft, or I'll put them to the side for now. Like, I always like write down my ideas and just kind of like keep them there. And if they resurface again, I'm like, okay, I'll do it. I'll do it. Especially with Gorgeist. I think I'm definitely going to. I'm impressed by Gorgeist, though. I'll
Oh,
definitely
that's
be drafting
awesome.
that thing more often, honestly.
So I take it, based on how you've spoken very highly of your team, nobody really disappointed you.
No, like I think everything really performed well. Um, some more often than others, like in like regards to like stuff like Suicune.
Yeah,
Like Suicune's always going to do well for me,
of
like
course.
because it's a Pokemon that I really like to use. Discord is always going to do something really well, and like Kieran Black is going to obviously do something like really really well. Zardwaya, of course. Like everything kind of like I'm pretty happy with my team, as especially with like how everything kind of performed and like the amount of things I tried with and like especially like with like stuff something like Metagross. Like Metagross is another Pokemon that I really like forgot how good it was
Oh,
because
Metagross is
like
so good.
it's such a good Pokemon. Like I know like one of the other goons, David, like really likes to draft that Pokemon a lot, and I'm like I see him come up with really interesting stuff for it. And I'm like, yeah, I'll try some of that too. Because like a lot of the time as well, I look at like for me as well, like when it comes to draft, like I come across like a lot of Pokemon mainly because of seeing other people use them.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mudsdale, for example, is a really big Pokemon I would love to use in Generation 8 drafts
Oh, wow.
because it's so tanky, it's really good. Rocks gets that fucking what's that ability? Stamina.
Stamina, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So like it's really good. It has helped me out quite a bit. It's probably one of my favorite like and it's actually I'm gonna say as well, right? For me, when I like draft a lot of Pokemon, I've
Mm-hmm.
kind of gotten very attached to a lot of Pokemon. Like not in a like a cringy kind of nerdy kind of way.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
more
yeah.
like a kind of like oh like this Pokemon is like really cool because I kind of look at it in a different way when I use it. Like say like something like Mudsdale is like
Right.
I would have never thought of putting that Pokemon on a team ever. And then I use it and I'm like, dude, this Pokemon is like super, super good. Why the fuck is nobody using it?
Oh, I know
Why
the
is nobody
feeling.
using it? You know? I think it was a Jamie. I think Jamie actually used that Pokemon and he's referenced it a couple of times. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I have to try it. I'll give it a shot. I might as well because it's I looked at the stats and like this thing is really good. So I tried it and like it's just performed super well. Same with Gorgeist like as well, like for this draft especially. like Gorgeist and Metagross and like Gardevoir, like another Pokemon that I really love to use.
Gardevoir
Um,
has been really good on your team.
yeah, like it's surprisingly like really strong. Drapion is another Pokemon that I really like to use as well. Like like poison. I was actually watching Pokegame's vid a while ago on Overquill and its competitive potential, and I'm just like, man, Poison Dark is actually a pretty good typing.
It's a real good typing. You only have
Like
one
I think,
weakness.
yeah, Earthquake, which is like sorry, like Ground is like its only weakness, and like just
Might as well
like
just be an
like
earthquake weakness.
yeah, I may as well just be an Earthquake weakness. But like like Drapion gets like Taunt, it gets Swords Dance, gets Toxic Spikes,
It
gets
does so
Agility.
much.
Like you can do some cool shit with and like Scope Lens, fucking
Yeah,
Cross Poison,
you.
which I used on Jeff. I really oh man, that was fucking
Yes,
so good.
I was doing the week 10 recap with Nate the other day, and we were like, he definitely is sniper scope lens because of the amount of crits that this Drapion is getting.
Yeah, like a one shot for you from full. I was like, yo, because I think I did calc it to that Cross Poison would kill after with a crit like and the
Yeah,
sniper and the with sniper and with the scope lens like
and cross poison has the higher crit rate too,
yeah
doesn't it?
it has a I ran I ran a lot of high crit moves on it so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Nate and
wanted to
I were
try and
watching
level
that
it up.
and blown away. Also,
Yeah, like
going back to your other games just for a sec, 'cause we touched on how well Gardevoir has been good for you. Oh my
hmm.
God, the way you played it against Shawnee for Week 11,
Oh yeah
the way you
that was
utilized
pretty good.
Trace against him for all the water absorbs to stop Vaporeon, using
Yeah.
it for Intimidate on Salamence the way you did. Anthony and I, when we were recapping Week 11, felt that that was probably some of the best Trace usage we'd ever seen.
Well, yeah, it definitely worked out like especially for Vaporeon because like
Or Nate, whoever I was recapping that game with, whichever game, I think it was Anthony. If it was Week 11, whatever, that was like the best Trace usage though.
oh well thank you yeah like it definitely did perform pretty well like in that regard because like especially with like against Shawnee too like again like getting water absorb and getting intimidated on Ments and stuff like that and
Hmm.
like being able to spam Moonblast I think once I had the opportunity to do it like it was just
It was awesome.
it worked out pretty well for me
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
yeah and like I think what there's another Pokemon I'm thinking of now that kind of performed pretty well too for me that I haven't really thought about. What is it again?
Uh,
See, I can't remember my team off the top of my head.
let me see. Let me pull up your roster really quickly and see. I mean, it's pretty easy to figure out which of the guys you've been using a lot, and which ones have been a bit more sparingly. So let's see. Manectric never came, I don't think. Or no, it came once, right?
And once, yeah, I used it for Rennie, I think, yeah. Yeah.
I had it.
Um,
I had it last season, and I think Rennie's game was the only one. My game against Rennie's the only one I remember it, and I lost that game because he
oh
missed an
shit.
overheat.
Oh shit.
It missed an
Fuck
overheat on a
man.
Kartana.
Oh man, that hurts so much. Oh my god, dude. You love to see it. Like, oh
Yeah.
my god.
I look
'Cause, like,
honestly looking at your roster, everyone's come because you have Kyurem Black. We've spoken how good Kyurem is. Same with
mhm.
Gliscor, Metagross, Gardevoir, Drapion, Charizard, Mew, Gourgeist, Suicune. The only things that are left are like Rhydon.
Dude, okay. Actually, there that is I think that is the Pokemon that I initially like didn't really think much of when I was drafting it because I was like, okay, I was coming up to Rennie's game and I was like, I think I was like 2-2 or something. I think it was like I think if I beat Rennie that time, I was gonna go 3-2, and I'm like, okay, I need something for Talonflame, okay, because I had no Brave Bird switch-ins and I had no Flare Blitz switch-ins, and I'm like, okay, Rhydon is the only thing I can use, right? I have to
Right.
sack Audino for it because Audino, while on the surface, it seemed like an interesting pick, right? Because I was like, okay, I need a Ghost Resist. I need something because Ghost is really spammable. I need something
Yeah.
pretty good to absorb that. It has Wish, it has Regenerator. Fuck it, I'll use it. And I'm like, okay, it's not really doing well.
Yeah.
Um, it's just
uh,
maybe for another team for another time because because again like I like to experiment with stuff and Audino is interesting to use because it does have a lot of interesting sets and I've thought of a couple of sets that have been interesting for it too, but maybe another time. But yeah, I looked at my team and I was like, okay, I need something for Rennie. And right on was like, I think I suggested to as a Jesse, I think I was like, okay, I need something, and he was like, dude, you should pick right on, and I'm like, okay, I will pick right on because right on's really strong, and
If
I'm
you
like,
didn't,
it's
I would
perfect.
have.
Yeah, I was like, it's perfect. It literally worked out. Now I know as well when I was facing Rennie, I was a fucking terrified of natural gift. Like that is terrifying. Like, cause I was like, I think in my game I brought it out and then brought it back in to scout fucking natural gift.
Oh
Cause
my
I was like, okay,
god.
this shit is like this shit's gonna happen. Like it's either gonna have,
That's so
it's gonna
funny.
it's either gonna be lychee berry or it's gonna be that fucking but what's the water one again?
Oh, Pasha, yeah,
Pasho
Pasha.
Talonflame. I'm like, I can't risk it. I literally can't risk it. So I'm just like doubling back. I'm like bringing it back, and he's bringing stuff in. I'm like, okay, this is working out. This is telling me something that he's not bringing it. He doesn't have it, or he's kind of tricking me again. I'm like thinking like on my head. I'm like, fuck. There's so many different mind games
I
here. I don't know what
forgot
to
about
do.
how I forgot about natural gift Talonflame. How like that was a thing. That was a thing people did
Yeah,
in
you ran it for
sixth.
Rotom. You ran it for
Yeah,
Rotom because you two KO. You kill it after +2 Lychee Berry.
yeah.
Yeah, it was
I
HP. It
totally
turned into
forgot about
parts.
that. That's
And I think it killed offensive T-Tar as well
it.
if it
Probably
wasn't
did.
scarf.
It
Yeah.
probably did.
Yeah. No, I know you sack roost and stuff. You
Yeah.
sack recovery or you sack flare blitz. But like Jesus Christ, I ran that before. That shit's fun to play. Really, really
Oh
good.
man.
Because you can guarantee like on Generation 6, someone had Rotom, someone had T-Tar. You're just like, it's gonna happen like.
Oh, for
So I was just
sure.
like, let's
Someone
go.
at Talonflame.
Someone had Talonflame, someone had Rotom Watch, and someone had Tyranitar. It was just like Jesus Christ. But yeah, Rhydon actually did, and actually in general, I think Rhydon has performed pretty interestingly well. Like especially with Chris too, because I thought
Oh
Chris
yeah.
would fall for the Avalanche Rhydon, because I was just like, yeah, that's gonna happen.
It
I
was
need to
a
bring this
it's
guy
a
a
great
lot.
Pokemon.
Because like it hits, like he had Yachi Berry on that chomp as well, and I was
Mhm.
just like, okay, I have to, like if I burn a Yachi Berry and like, or if I get the chance to, if I could burn a Yachi Berry, if I can like to a KO it if it tries to Earthquake me, or KO it if it Earthquakes me, because I think Avalanche does double the damage back to you.
Yeah. Yep. Oh no,
Yeah.
it's just its power is doubled instead of being base 60 or whatever.
Oh, it's doubled.
It
Okay,
goes to
okay, that
base
makes sense.
120.
Yeah,
It's
okay,
like
that
a
makes sense.
negative priority move, I think.
Yeah, it's like -2 or -1, I
Yeah.
think. Or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, so like I was just like, yeah, I have to bring it. So I think Rhydon has performed pretty well for me. Yeah, it's done
Yeah.
its job.
All right. So we've talked about some of your opponents so far, right? You know, people you've
Mhm.
like and some of the games you've had. Let's look forward now towards playoffs. Um, I'm not sure if you're aware of who like the entire playoff roster is at time of recording. Um, we're still in week 12. Two of the slots um, still aren't guaranteed yet. We know for a fact though that six of the players are the two of us, Deshaun, Liam, Rennie, and Jason. The other two slots
Right.
at the moment are being contended between Anthony, James, Shawnee, and Jeff. So, yes, we just named 10 people. Even though there's 8 slots, we're still figuring out. We
Yeah.
want to get these done before. We want to get these interviews done in a timely manner, though. uh, of those names, if you could pick any one of them to meet in the finals, who would you want to play in finals?
Deshaun or maybe Jeff for a revenge fight,
I have a
or
feeling
maybe
Jay
you.
Sean's going to be the most common answer.
It's either gonna be you, Deshaun, or Jeff. I think because I think I want to level the playing field with Jeff because like again with Jeff, it's like I know I tend to kind of come across, see, this what happens with me is right when I'm coming across people I know who are really good,
Hmm.
I tend to overthink, and
Me too. I do the same thing.
I tend to like put myself into a situation where I'm like, okay, I need to think of everything, and then that's
Yeah.
probably not the best thing to do, but like it's just like with Jeff especially, I'm just like, this dude like comes up with interesting shit. Like I really like want to beat him like continuously if I can, because I'm just like, I know he's good. And
Yeah.
to be honest, everyone in this draft is fucking unbelievable. Like Jesus Christ, like anybody could have gotten to playoffs. Anybody
For
could have
sure.
could have been relegated. Anybody could have not made, like literally, as you just as you said a while ago. There's 10 people like you mentioned for playoffs. Like Jesus Christ, it's like that's like I'm pretty much sure that's like most of the roster, if not like
Yeah, it's more than half.
half
That
the
like we're at
roster.
out of 16 guys, we have 10 in the last week that are potentially in playoffs. Like
Jesus
we still have
Christ.
four people that could still be in it. Like usually by week 12, you know who's in it.
Hmm.
So it's really
Yeah.
crazy. It's really
Like
crazy.
yeah, I think um yeah, for definite. Or is James in possible
He
for
he is one of the four that could be. He has to
yeah.
beat me in week 12 in order to get it.
Okay, I would like to. Also, James. I think James would be fun to play because I love James. James is my boy. I really love I
He's
love that
funny.
dude. He's my man. He's my man. I love that
Plus
dude.
like let's be real, when we did the draft analysis amongst the commissioners, James was the one that had the lowest rated team, and but
Mm,
he's also has the kill leader. He has the definitive
yeah,
kill leader with Mega Gyarados.
yeah, man. Mega Gyarados is honestly I can't think of a more fitting Pokemon for him than Gyarados to be honest.
Yeah, I mean
It's like
he's been really lucky that like we have the rule about you don't have to Mega the first turn you stay in, so he's utilized that excellently. But I think even
mm,
without that, he'd still be run and train with Gyarados.
oh for sure, dude. Gyarados is just absurdly strong. Like and Mold Breaker just makes it even worse. Like Jesus Christ. Like I think my most feared Pokemon I ever come across, right? And they're both water types. It's Cloyster and fucking Gyarados. Like I hate Cloyster because Cloyster is just that fucking he's that Pokemon, man.
I
Even
mean,
with
we
his little
saw it. We
cheeky fucking
saw
grin.
we saw what Deshaun did to Jeff with it.
Yeah, that like
The
fucking hell,
the
man.
seven turn
I
game. We
hate
saw the 7-turn game.
hate hate Cloyster, man. Like I don't hate it. I think it's a cool Pokemon, but I
Y-
hate facing it because I just
yeah.
know what it's gonna do, and I'm like, it's even like even the fucking Pokemon smiles at you, and it's like I don't know what I'm gonna do, man. I'm gonna fuck you up like really badly. And Gyarados is another one too, because I think, especially during Generation 5, I think Gyarados was always one of those Pokemon where
Oh
it's like
God. Yeah.
sub DD, or it's gonna be DD 3 attacks, or it's gonna be DD,
It's
and I'm
so
just like,
good.
fuck. Like it's just it's really good. It's a really good Pokemon. And it's like it's always that Pokemon where you have to do something to it. Like you have to like not let it set up on you, because if you let it set up on you, it's going to absolutely destroy you.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
I
the
mean,
amount
And
of like
James has shown it.
yeah, and James has shown it. Like Mold Breaker EQ on Rotom, like Waterfall, Crunch, Ice Fang. It gets like
It
so
gets
many
everything it
good.
needs to.
Yeah, like even like running like I remember there was a set. I think there was a Gyarados set back in Generation 6 back in the day. It was like T Wave, Spadef,
Oh yeah, yeah.
Gyarados. That's a really interesting set that a lot of people just don't seem
I
to
mean, I've done. I mean, I
utilize.
didn't do T Wave, but with the exception of my game against Anthony, basically anytime I brought a Gyarados, it was bulky. It was
Yeah,
bulky and
bulky,
support.
bulky.
It was never. I mean, I tried to DD sweep on Anthony. He skull burned me and stopped it.
Oh well, yeah. There we go.
But like everything else, like Gyarados is such a good utility Pokemon. The only thing that sucks about it being supportive is its rock weakness.
Yeah, yeah. That's
That's
true.
the
That's true.
only thing that's the only thing I hate about it.
That's 100% true. Yeah.
But
Any kind of
otherwise,
like
it's so good.
yeah, it's such a good Pokemon, man. And like yeah, like I think I definitely want to see like you or Deshaun or Jeff or James especially,
I
or
think
someone I
that's
haven't played.
I think that's a really
Maybe
good diverse pick. But who haven't you
yeah,
played?
I think Jason, that lad Jason.
I mean, he's on a hot streak.
Yeah, he's the guy with the Megalopony team, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I've seen that guy a couple of times, and he seems like a nice dude, nice bloke. Like he's really nice. And to be honest with you, like I would like to like play against him. Another guy I'd really like to play against, but I didn't get the chance to do it this time was Jamie. I'm like
Yeah.
I always see you, dude, and I've never gotten the chance to play against you. I
Mhm.
like see that's the thing. I like playing against people that I haven't really played before because I'm just like Liam is another guy I haven't played yet.
Oh
Actually, do you
yeah.
know what? Yeah, Liam. I would like to see Liam because I've never played him yet, and I would like to play against him. To be honest with you, I don't really mind who I play because everyone is and honestly, I'm being genuinely serious. Everyone that has playoff spot like has a chance to get to playoffs I would like to see them fight in the finals because everyone is like diverse in a way, and they have their own play styles, and like going up against anybody, like especially since I know that they're good
Oh
or
yeah.
someone I haven't played with. Like there's a lot of people that are good, and I know I haven't fought Liam or I haven't fought Jason, but I think
Mhm.
just like watching Liam's games, I know the dude does not fuck around at all, and I think he's a very interesting dude to play. I'd say he'd be a very interesting dude to play against, and I would look forward to it honestly. So yeah,
Anyone, yeah, anyone. That's a great answer. That's a really, really good
yeah,
answer.
yeah,
Um, but that's for finals, though. What about,
yeah.
is there
Okay, fair enough.
anyone that you're dreading a matchup with? Like, either you think you got a bad matchup, you just don't like playing against them because of their play style, you feel like they might knock you out in the in any round and keep you from getting to finals. I don't know. Is there any coach that you'd be like, yeah, you're excited for everybody, but it's like if I could put this guy off, like that would be ideal.
Hmm. Actually, I think maybe Jeff. I think because like again, as I said, like I'm excited to play against everybody, and if I'm playing in the seed like in the playoff like before finals,
Hmm.
um, like I think anybody to be honest, because anybody can knock anybody out realistically.
Right, for
Like,
sure.
well, because like look at how fucking like volatile the playoff spots are. Like it's just anybody has the potential to knock anybody out. Like I think everyone. I think this is the like to be honest, this is the draft I've seen. This is probably the first draft I've seen where everyone's on an even enough playing field. You know,
Yeah, for sure.
like obviously team matchups will come into play, and like there are going to be like some games where like some people will have the team advantage and stuff. But
For sure.
I think everybody has utilized their team incredibly well, and you know I think everybody has the potential to knock me out. I have the potential to knock everybody out. Like it's literally could literally be anyone. But to be honest with you, yeah, probably Jeff. I'd say because like I feel like Jeff. Yeah, because I feel like because like as I said, I always put myself in a mental block when I'm facing against people, and like Jeff is kind of one of those dudes. Because like I'm like okay, you know, he's got like a really like he always texts something, and I'm just like
Yeah, he's
okay,
hard to predict with his.
it's
You can't
hard to
predict his
predict. Yeah.
prep. You really can't.
It's good. It's good. He always brings good prep, and I think that's the part I think that I'm really like, okay, that's gonna be this is probably gonna be the guy that's gonna be the most annoying to face. He's gonna probably be the one that would like that I'm kind of dreading to face. But I think honestly, I'm excited. Even if I did lose, regardless, I'm excited to play against everybody because like I think everybody's pretty good in this draft. Even if you don't win this draft, even if you don't get the playoffs, even if you got relegated like it doesn't matter because this draft is pretty good. It's
Oh
strong.
yeah, it's
Honestly,
super.
anybody could have gotten relegated. Anybody could not make. Anybody can make playoffs. Anybody could not make playoffs.
Yeah,
So
for sure. The records for the most part are more or less going into the season what I was expecting them to be. The
mm,
only anomalies are you, me, and Deshaun. Those are the only records where I was like, this shouldn't be happening. This shouldn't be happening.
mm,
Like everyone else being like close to even with their records. Like the four teams that are vying for the bottom two playoff spots, they're all 5-6.
yeah,
Rennie is 7-4, and Jason is 6-5.
yeah.
You
Like
know,
it's really even enough when it comes to
yeah,
their records. Yeah,
yeah,
and like
like
I think
it's
for me it's
crazy.
like for me it was like especially since because I had two losses my out of my three like my division I lost two. I was going into the rest of the season 1-2, and I was like, I've never had this happen before. Like I either go in with a loss or I don't go in with a loss, and I went in with two losses, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not gonna mess around anymore. I'm gonna actually fucking like take it a bit seriously, like and do something, because obviously like these guys are really really good,
Hmm.
and like I try hard when I prep and stuff, and I do my best when I come to like you know trying to face against someone. Like I'm not gonna take anybody lightly. Like that's the thing. Like I'll never take anybody lightly when it comes to playing Pokemon because everyone is especially in this draft everyone's
Oh yeah.
capable of like doing something and like never underestimate your opponent. That is literally the worst thing you could ever do
Oh
because
for
you
sure.
will 100% lose.
If you
And if you
talk
don't
to
have
Deshaun, he'd probably tell you that I do what you said you shouldn't do.
Mm.
Like not under I don't underestimate people too much. Like to the point that he's like you're giving yourself too much stress. I've probably accelerated the amount at which my hair has been graying over the last few years by being here. Um and the only time that I did look at somebody this season as probably a free win. And I say probably because I did see one thing in prep that was like if I see this, he sees this, I can't beat this was Allen. And besides Deshaun, Allen was my closest game.
Um, yeah.
Like
Like
one
honestly,
move
I
from
could.
Allen changes the game, and that was because I didn't view him as a free win, but I was like, he's not doing great, so maybe.
Yeah. But like Allen, I think Allen especially. Allen is a good player,
Oh,
man.
oh
I
yeah,
think
I've seen him
like,
shine outside of here. I don't know what's going on in sixth gen.
yeah, I don't think I think he doesn't really play much. I don't think he has played much Gen 6 to be honest. I don't think he really like maybe he's just like his team isn't really like he didn't really probably like maybe he just doesn't really prep for his team didn't prep much for his team. Like I don't think not prep much for his team. What am I trying to say? Um
He may just not have had time to plan for his games.
yeah, or just like he wasn't really comfortable with his team, but like the dude is really good. Like I mean, he's just so fucking like, especially when he like plays like really, he plays really interesting stuff.
Oh
Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's another draft I'm into where he like just completely dominated with like Calyrex Ice and shit like that. And I'm just like,
Wow.
he's really utilizing that Pokemon. Again, Calyrex Ice is honestly like playing against him the first time I was like in that draft was like I have Yveltal as my Uber pick like
Mhm.
and like Calyrex Ice just like clicks buttons versus my team, and I'm just like like even when I knocked it off,
Man,
like
I've
I
been
still couldn't
saying
get the
ever
level.
since Calyrex got unveiled that Calyrex Ice is a monster, and I feel like I everyone looks at me funny when I say that because the
No,
Shadow is so
it's
good, but
yeah, the
Ice,
Shadow is really really good,
but
but
Ice is
man,
also really good.
Ice is so good, man. It's so strong. It's absurdly strong. Like Jesus Christ, dude, it does so much damage. Like Glacial Lance is like really 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 strong, and it's really tanky. But yeah, like
It's good.
especially, but like yeah, as I said, Alan like is still a really good player. Like as I say, anybody could have gotten relegated here. Like he's such a fucking strong opponent to play against. Like even playing against him, like I was scared of like mixed Absol and shit like that.
Oh
He
yeah,
had some really cool mix for Absol, but like I was scared of like keeping Gliscor in an Absol in case of Ice Beam or like stuff like Fire Blast and shit like that. Like the dude, he probably just hasn't. I don't think has been very. I think he's been very busy IRL anyway, so I don't think he has
probably.
had time to
He
properly
has.
prep his
If I
games.
if based on the scheduling he's been providing, it seems he has been that way. And I'll be honest with you in terms of like if if what you suggest is true and he's just not really comfortable with his team, I agree. I've done a lot of preps. I've done a lot of mock games using his team for other people. I don't like that
Mm.
team. I
It's a
I
really really
it's a
scary
we
team. Yeah.
yeah. It's like I don't know. I'm not a big fan of his team, so if he's not, I totally get it. Um,
Mm.
but how you say everyone could have been relegated. It's interesting for Allen because just like how we had all these people with playoffs up until last week, up until week 11, we still had three people who were vying for that relegation to D League slot.
Yeah.
Like usually by now we know who it is. It's not like three different guys and it's like, oh, you need to beat this guy, and if you don't beat this guy, then this other person has to do well, has to beat.
Yeah.
It was crazy. So like,
That's true too, yeah. Because there was like, yeah, we're literally going up to like the second last week to determine who's getting relegated. Whereas
yeah,
like as you said, like in most drafts, you kind of know who's like gonna come last or who's gonna come second last. But as I said, literally anybody could have gotten relegated. Could have been very easily like anybody. You know,
yeah,
I
it's
think at
it's
one
been
point
really
Allen could
cool.
have even Allen could have made playoffs if he
Oh,
wanted
I
to.
think he
You know,
could have. I think he could have. I think anyone could have. I think Allen could have. I think Eric could have. I think if Jamie hadn't dropped, maybe not by the point he dropped, but I think if Jamie wasn't spread so thin, man plays a lot of Pokemon. I don't know how he does it. I can't do that.
mm,
So like big kudos to him. I think if he'd been able to focus more on just the one team, I think he would have been able to.
Because he had like a really solid Sancor like Tyranitar Excadrill. That's like they're two of the best games,
And then he
two
had
two of the best
Bennett
models
there to
Japanese.
take out whatever
Yeah.
someone brought, like the one mon people brought that would have ruined his sand. Then he picked up Cresselia for bulk.
Man, Mega Bennett is like honestly like that Pokemon is like super fucking scary when I think about it. Cause like
Oh, what?
Prankster
Yeah,
like D-Bond, Will-O-Wisp, and shit like that. Like it has access to a lot of crazy shit. Plus his attack stat is really fucking high. Isn't it like a 160 or something?
it is. It's ridiculous. And it's
Like
really,
what the
it's got a
fuck?
pretty high HP stat, and it can Cotton Guard and Cotton Mind, and
Yeah. Yeah, I remember using. I remember playing an ADV game at one point, and I was using Bandit Bennett in Gen 3, and I'm like, Shadow Boss physical, dude.
that's
Like,
so
Bennett's got
funny.
Bennett's got base 120 attack, and he like base 110, base
It's
120
it's
or something, or base
it's it's
130.
something absurd. It's something absurd
It's
like
I'm
that.
just like I'm clicking buttons.
Like
There we
people
go,
used to call it
Shadow Boss.
Destiny Bond the Pokemon in 6th gen, but it's really not. It's so good.
It's a really good Pokemon. It's really it's kind of a worse Mega Gengar in a way because with Mega Gengar you could kind of guarantee a
Yeah.
kill regardless because it's so but Shadow Tag is just so good.
Yeah.
But like Bennett does it in the same way, but like kind of in a more cheeky kind of way, you know.
Yeah.
You know, so like cheeky Destiny Bond, like
Oh yeah.
okay, there you go.
Yeah.
There's one of your main pieces gone. Fuck you, like you know. So yeah,
Wow, we've been talking a while. This is awesome. I mean, if I wasn't playing, I'd be rooting for you at this point, and I think everyone here knows. I think everyone knows who the fuck Steven is now. I think everyone knows who the Sligo Sandacondas are.
nice. That's good to know. That's good to know.
You know, we've talked a lot about Pokemon, past, present, future, playoffs, all the other coaches. Is there anything you can think of off the top of your head that we haven't discussed? It could be about playoffs. It could be about the regular season. It could be whatever the fuck you think it should be that you think needs to be said.
Like just anything in general about the draft,
Anything,
like.
anything, any thoughts, feelings, anything you think needs to be said that you and I haven't covered.
Okay, there are a couple of things actually.
Awesome.
Honestly, I think coming in, I think this was like one of my most anticipated drafts because like I think you know what I think I was asking to get into A League for like to get into like NPBF for a while because I'm just like because I've heard a lot from like because Jesse and like David and the rest of the lads are in there and
Mhm.
they always like talked about it and they always talked about like their posting their teams and shit and I've always helped them out or whatever.
Mm, right.
Um, but like you know they I've heard about it, and especially from James too. Like James used
Mhm.
to like talk about it too, and I was like, "What the who the fuck is MPBF? I want to know. Like, I want to get involved and shit like that." And I'm just like I think I got the opportunity then for D League, with Dave because David dropped because he had a couple of things, he some stuff going on or something. So I was
Right.
like, "All right, I'll take over your team, whatever." I ended up winning D League because he had some really fun shit to play. Like I had, well, they use like a Totemo's Como. That shit was fun in
Oh
playing.
man.
That shit was dope.
Oh, I think I
Uh,
remember helping Ant build for you at one point, and it just didn't
yeah,
go well.
like there was some interesting stuff there, and like I think after winning it, because I didn't really care if I won it honestly, because I'm just like if I'm in second, I wanted to get to second place because like that's guaranteed playoff
Yeah.
spot. So I'm like guaranteed, A League spot. So I'm like, all right, whatever, you know. They ended up winning, and it's like fine, that's grand. And like coming up to A League, I'm just like, okay, there's a lot of people I don't recognize in here. I've never played them. Like I think I know like the only people I knew were Jesse James, Jesse James, Jamie, uh, fucking three J's, Jesus Christ. Alan was gonna up there with me as well.
Mhm.
There was Deshaun. I knew Deshaun was in there because I've known Deshaun for a while. Um, and who else is there? Chris was in there too as well. And yeah, I had like no idea who to like. Obviously, you were there too, but
Yeah,
like
but
I
we
only
only just
realized
recently figured out that it was like, oh shit, we know each other.
yeah, we know each other. We played again. We've seen each other before.
Yeah.
Like everyone else there was just complete like who are these people? I have no idea. I have no idea who these people are. So I heard a lot of talk because I heard like there was a lot of talk about Jeff. There was a lot of talk about what's his name Rennie.
Rennie,
Because
yeah.
I think for me I think my most anticipated match for me was Rennie. I think because I heard like so many people talk about like I think it was a couple of people talking about Rennie and how good he was. And I was like, all right, this is interesting. Like, cause like I really want to see what this guy is capable of, and like being able to play against him was really good because like he had a really good team.
Yeah,
Like it's really
always.
cool. It's a really cool looking team.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a really cool looking team.
Yeah.
Um, and like anticipating playing against Jeff, and like I was hoping to play against Deshaun this regular season because I was just like I really need to play him again because we're always even. I think we're even in our matches. We're
Oh
always even
man.
with each other. Like we're constantly
Mhm.
even with each other. We're never like, oh, I'm up above him or he's up above me. It's either we're always even with each other. And like there's a lot of people I wanted to play against. I was like, I'm actually excited for this. And then I lost against Jeff, and I was like, okay, to be expected because I didn't really know how he played. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, note it for next time. Played against James was his
Yeah,
name.
James.
James, he had like arena trap. Midway through the game, I was like, arena trap Doug trios allowed? Oh no. Oh fuck! I'm just like, wait, what? What the fuck is this? I didn't prep for this shit. I thought he just had a dog trio randomly. I'm like, oh, this fucking dog trio. It's not a big deal. And like, I was like, when I saw the notice on Showdown, I was like, you cannot switch. I'm like, what you mean I can't switch?
That's why it was tier
This
1.
Pokemon's banned, dude. That makes sense. I saw Gothitelle in there too, and I was like, why is that tier one? I was like, probably, nah, it's probably just as a joke mod or something. I was like, what the fuck is, why is it in here? And then I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Um, yeah, like playing against Jeff and then losing to him, and then playing against James, winning against him, and then playing against Ant, then afterwards losing to him, I was like, okay, I need to like, I kind of had like a kind of thing to prove myself in a way because I'm
Mhm.
like, because with me with losses, I don't take losses hard, but if I take losses, I'm like, okay, I need to show people what I'm capable of.
Oh,
Okay,
for
so
sure.
and I think I did prove it. I think I'd
Oh
like to
yeah.
know that I proved it because I came in with a mindset of just like, okay, I need to win against everybody
I
because
mean,
I
you've
don't want
done
to.
that.
Yeah, like I just didn't want to lose to anybody else. And I think like going back into the like final division part, I was like, okay, I'm gonna reverse this. Okay, or I might lose to Ant. I might lose to Ant next week. I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. But at the end of the day, I have playoff spot anyway, so I don't really mind too
Yeah.
much. But I would like to win against him just to beat him because I this thing where I'm like I kind of hold a grudge sometimes when I'm playing against people because I'm like if I lose to you, I'm like okay, I'm not gonna. You're not gonna win against me the next time. That's just not gonna happen. I can guarantee you that I'm not gonna let you win next time. And I think that kind of shine with Jeff too because I
Yeah.
faced against Jeff. Okay, I'm not losing to you. I just refuse it. Like it's not gonna happen. And then I ended up prepping pretty decently for it, and I beat him. And I was like, okay, let's win the next two. Fuck it. Like why not?
That's
And
definitely gonna be me and you if we get matched up in playoffs.
yeah, like I just I'm not like as I said, I want to win against everybody, and I know for a fact you're gonna definitely try and go for like a grudge match. It's a grudge match definitely because I think
Yeah.
was I your only loss
You, yeah, you may be third seed, but you are the only person who has handed me a loss this season. And
That's
you want to know what's
crazy.
crazy? You know what's crazy? I didn't
Uh,
say this to you at all because I didn't want to like come off as like, oh, I'm making up excuses for why for me losing, right? Because obviously I messed up. For example, letting
yeah.
like switching my Hydreigon into your Metagross. I messed up with a bunch of the stuff I did. If I, the last turn was Suicune Gallade, right? No, it wasn't. I slowed Rose, but that doesn't matter. I lost it at Suicune Gallade.
Mm. Yeah.
You want to know what's crazy? If I
That
had
was a
looked at it,
drain punch. Yeah.
if I had calced it, if I had looked at the calc and seen that Leaf Blade at +2 doesn't kill a Suicune, but that Drain Punch gets me enough HP to live your Scald, I would have been able to just do that, outspeed your team, and win, despite how poorly I played. But you deserve that win because I did not. I made so many mistakes and misplays during that game that you were the rightful winner in the first place.
Well, I think to be as well. I think is for me. It's like I really try to play aggro versus you in that
And it worked.
and it worked because like I just didn't want to. I didn't want to give you any kind of like. I wanted to like make sure you didn't have any like breathing or to breathing ground or like trying to gain like to take a break or trying to get any momentum because I'm just like okay, I'm weak to a lot of stuff in his team. His team is really good. I'm definitely not gonna try and lose to this. And I didn't like I honestly fact I think I was thinking about Leaf Blade Gallade, and I was like, there is no way but it is there is a way because I've been playing Suicune, and there's definitely going to be a way that he's going to probably utilize it. And I saw Leaf Blade, I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna lose, dude. And then I saw Suicune live it, and I'm like, you know what? My man's, he's out here booling. He's out here booling. It's just like, man, it was such a good match. It was such a good
Suicune was a
game.
really it was because let me tell you, and perhaps Suicune was such a problem for me that like I needed Roserade for so many different things on your team, but I also needed Roserade to not die because without
Yeah,
Roserade, I couldn't stop your Suicune. I needed to Gallade for the same reason because Roserade can only do so much if you're like, if you're doing Crocune, setting up all the comm mines and the rest hogs, like Roserade can't do shit at that point, so I need something physically. Literally half my team was made to beat your Suicune,
yeah,
and
like
I
I
still
just
lost to Suicune because I didn't look at a calc.
it's mad because like it's the same with like the same with Chris too because like he had like Cradilly and he brought it for that specific reason and like I think I saw Yan Mega at the start and I was like I was actually thinking of like especially with like Chris, because Chris has always been that guy, right?
Oh yeah,
I swear to fucking God, man. Chris, I swear to fucking God, man. How the fuck do you like get so lucky? Like how do you do it? Like I just don't get it. It just fucking annoys me sometimes. No, I like Chris though. Chris is pretty cool. He's a cool dude. But like dude gets like fucking para boosts. Like I think with discharge, I think I've seen him use discharge at least 50 times. I don't think he's not paralyzed like twice. He's paralyzed with like 48 out of 50 discharges. The fucker is so like ugh. But like I saw Yen Mega and I was like, dude, I knew that I had a feeling this Pokemon was gonna come, but I'm like, no, like I have Charizard, I
yeah,
have
Mega's so good
fucking like
though,
yeah, Mega is good. It is
and
a good
also
Pokemon.
it can just throw Ancient Power at you.
Yeah, like it did, and I was like, I know for a fact Kyurem is gonna tank an Ancient Power because like it had King's Rock when I knocked off the item at that point. And I was like, yeah, there's no way that this thing is going to KO me with Ancient Power. And he brings out Ancient Power, and I'm like, ah, for fuck's sake. But no, like, I think Suicune performed pretty well in that game as well. Because, like, I know he teched Energy Ball for, what's his face? He brought Energy Ball for Suicune as well on Alakazam. He needs sub 3 attacks Alakazam or something like that.
Oh my,
Like,
yeah, that's evil.
yeah, like for me, it was like I had a really interesting muse going into that actually, which was really really funny. Like Jesus Christ, it was like something. It had like a really 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 dumb EV spread. Like it was so ridiculous. I'm like, this is gonna be enough to knock us up. This is gonna be enough to like tank a Shadow Ball. This is gonna be enough to like knock it out completely. I even thought of trying to do something absurdly broken, but then I realized a certain move isn't that he gets later on isn't in Gen 6 and I was like fuck it I really want to utilize that. I'm not gonna say what it is because
No,
I don't
keep
want
that in the back
to
pocket.
and keep it in the back pocket because I'm gonna bring it for I'm gonna definitely gonna utilize some of this shit for playoffs. But yeah, like just uh like I think I ultimately ran with like I think it was it knockoff fog, I think ice beam and softball because I had ice beam for Chomp
Of course.
and knockoff because knockoff does like 40-ish to like Zam
Yeah.
because obviously Zam is really frail. I had like a couple of attack EVs invested into it, so I did like into a KO, and I was like, okay, and I can tank a +1 Shadow Ball from like Alakazam. Luckily, he did bring Calm-Mind Alakazam, which is great because that thing is also another Pokemon I really don't like facing against. Especially when he gets up sub and it starts Calm-Mind, and I'm like, okay, I'm probably gonna die, so yeah, GG. So, but like he brought if he like for me, I was thinking about it, right, and I think you said it, and I think Jeff said it in the video where it's like if he should have probably brought HP Ice, and I'm like, okay, fair enough, but if he brought HP Ice, I could have like played around it pretty well at least if I saw it, because like whenever I see like
Mhm.
someone say it or if they reveal it too early, I'm like, okay, not too bad. I can play around this pretty well, not that big a deal. Um, it's just again like it's just playing against this is the thing like playing against like most of these guys is just so crazy because like as I said I could have literally lost to anybody
Oh yeah.
on that fucking and during that season because like I was like if it wasn't for, if I didn't get like demoralized at the start if I got demoralized at the start I probably could have been relegated or I could have probably been like probably would have been like very nearly relegated because I'm just like, if I get demotivated or if I get like a bit,
Mhm.
if I get lose a bit of self esteem when I'm like playing with a Pokemon game, when like I'm playing with a Pokemon or playing with a draft team, I'm like, all right, fuck it, like whatever. But I went in with the intention of just proving myself, and then like I think I did pretty okay with it.
I,
I think I did.
I think you have proved. I mean, I don't think you came in with anything to prove at first. You came in winning D League. D League has really gotten a good reputation over the last few seasons. It used to be, you know, this before Nate took control of D League. D League was a real shit show. I'm not gonna miss words. It was.
Yeah.
We couldn't get games completed or seasons finished. Um, the quality of player, you would get people like Deshaun in before D League was really something, but like D League's like something like winning D League. That's an accomplishment in itself, especially taking
Yeah.
over from somebody else's team.
Yeah, like said, like David has like a very unique play style with
Oh, he
with what
does.
he plays with. Like I like a lot of his picks. Like I think honestly, I think David has been like a lot of inspiration for me to pick a lot of Pokemon because he
Interesting.
brings like really like I know honestly, I'm being serious. Like this, like David is like really really like fucking interesting because he brings like really bizarre shit.
Oh, he
Like
does. He does.
like like Vikavolt, and then like there's like his fucking like Vikavolt is like I think James has started to run Vikavolt purely because David is like
No,
constantly
you're
picking
probably
Vikavolt.
right. Like I was watching his last D League game the other day, and I don't remember what he brought, but he brought something where I was like, "What the fuck is like? Why the fuck is that move on there?"
Yeah, yeah, and like I think David is like one of those players that like if he's in the zone, man, he's in the zone.
Oh
Like
yeah,
he just does not
definitely.
lose. Like he just does not lose at all.
I mean,
And like like I know sometimes he can kind of like he tends to fuck around a bit, but like dude, that man, if he gets in the zone, he gets in the zone.
I mean,
Same with Jesse too.
we talked about Brock and ran a train on the D League just to get to week 12 and get 6-0'd by David.
Yeah, dude, David. I think David was in that same mindset where he's like, I'm not losing to him at all. I refuse to lose to him, and I'm like, yeah. And I know everyone was taking the piss out of him. They're like, yeah, dude. Brock, I think it was what Jesse said. Brock could bring like three Pokemon, he could still win against fucking David. And I'm just like, nah, dude. I trust David because I think David is he's got that mentality where it's like, as I said, if he doesn't want to lose, he does not want to lose, and he will literally do everything he can to like pull a win if he needs to. Like the dude is dangerous when you're playing against him. Like, he can be
Hmm.
very volatile. Like especially if he like wants to beat you, he will do everything he can to beat you. Like he doesn't fuck around at all in the slightest, which is really good. It's a really good trait of David, honestly, when he plays Pokemon. Same with Jesse too.
Oh
Jesse's
yeah.
like another like I know I'm bigging up my boys and everything. They're my boys. Like there's like
I mean, Jesse won a
that's
title. You have every reason to big up him.
yeah,
He won last
that's
season.
they're the goons, man. I know I saw that game. That was so good. That was such a good game. Actually, I was watching that shit. It was so good. But like the goons, I know they're the goons and everything. They're my boys. Like, but like, dude, I think Jesse and David were really like are the lads that really kind of inspired me a lot, especially in draft, because I'm like, yeah, I can play a Pokemon game and I can play on the ladder and like I can do really well and like I think I have confidence in myself as a player. But like I think especially I'm going to tie it back to the Switch draft because Jesse kind of actually helped me a lot with the Switch draft because he was like,
Oh, that's
okay,
awesome.
yeah, Jesse was the man, man. Jesse comes up with the coolest shit, man. He comes up with the coolest fucking text, and like the meme we have is counter Hitmontop, right? And that will
I
forever
mean, that's a
be,
real thing. Like people have done that. I
yeah,
don't think that's a meme. I mean,
yeah, but like,
maybe with the goons it is, but like that's a thing.
yeah, it is a thing, like, but just for the
Like that's a
situation,
good thing. That is a good thing. But Jesse
it's
does
so
bring.
strong.
I know in some other chats we've been in with him where you've had to be like, Jesse, you need to calm
Yeah,
down.
you need to chill out, man. Because some shit you're saying is ridiculous.
I
Like,
mean, at least he knows it's ridiculous though. But like,
yeah, that's the thing. Like, he has fun with a lot of his meme shit. Like, he
yeah.
does come up with some fun stuff. But like, as I said, if Jesse wants to win again, win something, he's gonna win it. Like, he's a powerful fucking player,
Oh yeah. If he
and like
didn't try to
especially
overpredict, he would have beaten me week 2 when he belly drummed with his chestnut.
Yeah. I saw that too. I was like, damn,
That
he really.
overprediction literally cost him the game. Well,
Yeah.
not it didn't cost him. He could have turned it around, but like that
Yeah. Like,
overprediction like stopped him from sweeping me with chestnut.
yeah. Like it's just. Yeah, Jesse. Like as I said, like Jesse's really good, dude. And like I'm sad
Oh,
he's
for
not gonna
sure.
make playoffs. But like it's just, dude. As I said, like him and David are like the lads to help me out because like with the Switch draft, like it was just having Jesse there, like helping out with bouncing back ideas. I think we were like pretty good with each other then because we were part of another group before, but like we were kind of like talking back and forth with each other and we're like talking about ideas and stuff. And then he came up with some really interesting stuff and he saw some stuff I did and he was like, "Whoa, that's pretty cool." So like just you know there's a lot of inspiration there with when it comes to a lot of my games because like they have like a lot of cool stuff to talk about. They
Oh,
have a
for
lot of
sure.
interesting ideas, so
Yeah.
yeah.
I think Jesse would have been in playoffs if the team he has now is the team he had at the start of the season.
Yeah. I like as I said, like he's got as like Generation 6 was an interesting choice because a lot of people aren't very accustomed to Generation 6. I know it's very similar in a way to playing Generation
Yeah.
7, or if it's like it's kind of similar enough in a way to Generation
But
8
there's
because there's a lot
enough
of
different. There's enough that's
there is
different.
enough different. Yeah, there's a lot of like a lot of knowledge on certain things. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of different like stuff that isn't like factored in or utilized enough to like there's a lot of like small little mechanical things or like little niche
Yeah.
things that you kind of
Like
forget when you're
like
going for
burn being
generations.
different, paralysis I think is
Yeah,
different now than it in Gen
yeah.
6 than it is now. The the 8
Paralysis was like
ability is like pixelate, aerialate.
they were much stronger back then. Jesus Christ, they were
Yeah.
like yeah like before that Gen 7 nerf and like
Yeah.
there's just so many like different things you kind of just like forget about. There's like no like I know people are very accustomed to like Generation 8, but there's like prior to that no boots, no like no stealth rock was like still one it still is important, but like it was one of the most important moves in the game.
Oh
Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
stuff like that. And as I said before, like at the start, like Generation 6 is very 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 lovable to balance. Like very lovable
Yeah.
to balance. There's a lot of great balance cores that were in Generation 6 and still are being utilized too, like in smog tours and shit like that. Because I've seen a lot of
Mhm.
smog tour games. There's a lot of really cool stuff that people bring, and there's a lot of like even just like old stuff, like the old like kind of like the old school kind of stuff, that people bring. That like people would bring the same team to like just bring the same team, 5 teams to, like SPL, and like they're all really good. Like there are teams that have been just utilized throughout Gen 6, and they've never like, and people know these teams, but they just can't beat them because they're just so good, you know.
Yeah.
And like especially with a lot of Pokemon, especially in Generation 6, like there's just so many Pokemon that just have that like that people have forgotten about because there's some like as I said before, like as I said, I think I said this to someone else before, but like there's so much like when you take a look at Generation 6 and you take a look at Generation 7 and take a look at Generation 8, right? The fucking power creep
It's insane.
is insane. Like dude, like you had like times where like Starmie was like fucking amazing. Breloom was still good in Generation 7, but like it's not in Generation 8.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you if Breloom was in Generation 8, it would be fucking up everything.
Oh, for sure.
It would be absolutely dominating.
It's
But
funny
like
you say all this because in the interview with Liam, one of the things he was saying that he really likes about doing the 6th gen draft, we didn't talk about power creep, but a lot more things are viable in 6th gen than they are later on because of how good
yeah,
stuff in 7 and 8 is.
yeah, because like like they think it like you think of like the best mons in Generation 6 at the time were like
Megas.
Mega Metagross, Megas, obviously, of course, Mega Metagross, Mega Medicham, Mega Sableye. You had stuff like fat stuff like Clef, and you had like fucking Starmie, Latias, Latios. Bisharp was really strong. Gengar is one of those Pokemon that was always like really like it was like it's a Pokemon that you always knew that was gonna do
Oh yeah.
something. But like
Terrakion,
Terrakion was
Sylveon,
still kind of there. Sylveon. Who else was there? I
uh,
had someone there a second ago. Who was it? Landers, of course, and
yeah,
Latios and like all those kinds of Pokemon. Pursuit Trap was really strong. Like just
so
lots of things to
much.
kind of forget about. Um, yeah, and I think it was really nice. It was a really good breath of fresh air actually, because
Oh,
like
for sure.
playing Generation 6 was just nice callback. Honestly, it was really good to see like a lot of like to utilize a lot of cool shit, and a lot of people got to use a lot of cool Pokemon that like you probably won't ever see again in Generation 8
Oh
for a while.
yeah, like
Or they're in UU, or they're in like some depth of hell in a tier that we'll probably never ever see again. Like Jesus.
yeah.
But yeah, no, yeah, like it's just this draft was very interesting. Honestly, it's been a hell of a ride so far, and I think a lot of people in this draft, and especially like a lot of coaches in this draft, have brought a lot of their A game.
Oh yeah.
In this draft, and it's been fucking great so far, honestly.
Well, I'm
And
glad you
honestly,
think so. I'm really happy you think so. I don't think it's been a secret that the sixth gen draft this season, it's been my baby. It was my suggestion to the other commissions that why don't we do this as a gimmick instead of doing something fucky that like people don't like, where we have to play mono or we have to play doubles. Like,
yeah,
let's
yeah,
come up with it. Let's do a gimmick where we still get to play traditional singles, but we still get a twist. And like a lot of people, sixth gen is a comfort gen because that's where a lot of people really got serious about playing Pokemon competitively because of how much more accessible it was compared to every other generation.
that's true. That is very true. Because like for me, obviously, I started in generation like tail end Gen 4, early Gen 5. Like so, like I
Yeah.
had a lot of like there was a lot of old school people like that were playing the game at the time that were like as I think actually funnily enough, I think the reason why a lot of the older school kind of like Pokemon players didn't really kind of come over as much to the other like to other like generations, or if they
Mhm.
kind of just they kind of fell off or something, is because of like how accessible black and white ROMs were. Because
That
like
makes sense.
back in the day, black and white ROMs were just so easy to get a hand of,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
Pokégen back in the day was like literally anybody could literally I could download it and just build a team, and like I could build like
In 5
40 teams in
minutes.
like and about I literally could build like I could load about 100 teams in about an hour if I wanted to.
Yeah, I did. I definitely abused that myself right before they disconnected the Wi-Fi for the
Yeah,
DS.
I
So
think that
I
was like
did
a
that. I did so much of that.
yeah, I did the same too. And to be honest, like there's like I think it was like me Gen 5 to 6 was like the golden age of competitive Pokemon
I
for me
I
personally.
100% agree with you.
Like there was so much like not so much diversity, but there was so much like you could do.
Yes,
There was so much fun stuff. Like it was I think it just has that kind of like charm to it, like
I
Generation
agree.
5 especially with like weather and like with the amount of like stuff that can run like a lot of like, and again like Generation 5 had a little bit of power creep, but then Generation 6 came along with Megas, a little bit more power creep. Like for me, I think the saddest thing for me is seeing Politoed being like number one rain setter to being like
Yeah,
completely irrelevant in Gen 6. Like
it's
Jesus
very
Christ.
unfortunate. I mean, if you were playing Rain in Gen 6, Politoed was still the guy to use.
Oh dude, I think he was the only guy to use actually.
He was. No, you're
Yeah,
totally
because
right. Because Pelipper didn't get in
Pelipper
until
didn't
Gen
get in.
7.
Yeah, he didn't. No, yeah, that's true. That's true.
You
Yeah.
had to like yeah, you had to run Politoed, or you got things that would use Rain Dance as a move, which isn't
Mm.
optimal.
Yeah, because like having access to perma weather or having access to Pokemon that can literally perma weather is like it's a whole game changer, dude. Like Weather Wars were like my favorite thing back in Generation 5. Like Jesus Christ, it was so good. But like yeah, like it's sad to see like some Pokemon fall off. But like again, as I said, it's good to play back in a format where like you know there's a lot of stuff that can still be utilized and can still be ran. Like as I said, I'll take Rennie's team. Like the dude has like Gudra. That's another Pokemon I fucking hate playing against too. That
Oh, I
fucking
hate playing against
slimy
Goodra.
bastard. I hate it. I
I
hate
hate
it.
playing against Goodra.
Everybody fucking drafts it. Everybody drafts it. I'm just sick and tired of looking at that gooey fucker. I swear to God. Genuinely fucking hate it. Everybody fucking drafts it. It's got like there's no reason why it has to have fucking Thunderbolt and Flamethrower. Just no reason. No reason. I mean it's a dragon, fair enough, but like there's no reason for it, man. There's no reason. Why does it get
I
Power
mean,
Whip? What?
the Power Whip's the weird one, like because Nido King gets Flamethrower and Thunderbolt, and so does Nido Queen, and but
Yeah,
Power Whip
yeah.
is weird, and it's just because of its
What?
ears, I think,
What? It's not even because of the tail.
or maybe it's the tail. I don't know. I'm just like I'm basing this just totally off the battle animation where it moves its head when it's using Power Whip.
Oh, true.
But
Oh,
it
yeah, I
probably
suppose you
you're
could.
you're
Yeah.
probably right about the tail because Zeers aren't long. It
Yeah.
definitely is the tail, and I just made myself look like an idiot.
No, I was thinking the ears. I was like, you know what? It's possible because
But
fucking Pokemon is so
it's
ridiculous.
definitely the tail.
Yeah, like I just hate it, man. And like he has stuff like obviously Talonflame. He has like a Galvantula. Galvantula is another Pokemon that always
So good.
so good. It's always like one of those Pokemon it's never like it does like one thing, but it does that one thing so well,
Yeah,
so
and
well.
that makes it so good in a draft. And even then, we saw in week 11, Rennie used it differently. He fucking slapped a choice specs on it.
Yeah, a Specs Galvantula is pretty good, dude. I think I've seen that a couple of times in NU or like RU. I think RU is like it's. I think it's been in RU for such a fucking long time. Ever since
It
inception.
must be.
Well, like it's as I said, there's Pokemon there that are never utilized because people don't really think about them that much. Like Galvantula, it's a really
Hmm.
strong Pokemon, but just there's things like Rotom, there's things like fucking Thundurus. That there's just so much like there's so much stuff that outclasses it, but like it's still super fucking good,
Oh yeah,
super powerful. Um, and like as I think it was another team that I've seen that's really annoying. Probably, honestly, I think Jeff's team is really fucking annoying too. Like
yeah, it
with like
is.
Hoopa Unbound, Volcarona. Like who let this man draft those two Pokemon? Like who left this man draft Hoopa and Volcarona?
I
Like
don't know.
that is literally that is top 10 worst nightmares of
I mean,
all
we
time.
say that, but then everyone looks at Deshaun's team as like, how did we let him draft that?
Yeah, yeah, like Scarm Bliss, Mega Man Champs, Zygarde. What the fuck?
And this is
What
like,
is this?
and this isn't even Zygarde when it's like really good in Gen 7.
It's like pre Thousand
It's
Arrows
pre
Zygarde.
Thousand Arrows, but it still does Zygarde things. It just can't Thousand Arrows.
Yeah, it's still a tanky fucker. Still really, it's good. It's
Yeah,
still got a really interesting typing, and like it neutralizes the water grass as well, like really well with dragon. So and it's a bulky fucker too. So like it's still a pretty solid. It can run glare. Like oh man, I love Zygarde. Zygarde's one is so good. That Pokemon's so absurdly strong.
yeah, it is.
Um, but yeah, I think that's pretty much everything.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm glad that we got everything out. This has been a really, it's been a really interesting talk. It's been really thorough. It's been really in depth. I have a newfound appreciation for you as a player. That's definitely for sure.
well, thank you. This, I just like see like when it comes to Pokemon, I really like do like talking about it because like you know, especially talking about like just certain generations or like past generations in general. There's like just so many like really good like times I've had with the
Oh,
game
yeah,
competitively, and like I think getting into competitive was like one of my it's probably one of the best experiences I think when it comes to like playing a competitive game because like Pokemon is always like it's got a charm to it and everything, and like if you
yeah,
can add a competitive aspect to it, like it just makes it even more fun. So fucking diverse, so like interesting. People you play, there's like so many aspects to it that just like make it a very strong competitive game. Now, obviously, there's stuff like RNG and like
of course.
but like just I think even just with that, that's even got a certain charm to it. There's no other game can go. Did you win? Oh yeah, you were surefire to win that game. Yeah, but like I missed Stone Edge 5 times, and I could have probably won it if I hit at least two of them, but I missed all five. Fun fact: in Generation 5, okay, when I played it, right, had
Oh
a bang of
boy.
track, yeah, missed all 8 Stone Edges in a game. Missed
No
all 8 Stone Edges.
way.
I'm not fucking kidding you. All 8 Stone Edges were attempted, and they did not. They literally, man. There's nothing more fucking frustrating than seeing Stone Edge just on Showdown just move to the left.
I
Just
straight
like
up, there are some moves I straight up won't use because of it. I will not use Stone Edge if I don't have, if I have any other option. I will,
it's like
I will not use Fire Blast.
it's just like no. I think me Stone like Fire Blast is fine for me. I always
Not
keep
for
connect
me.
Fire Blast. Never ever connect Stone Edge or never connect Hydro Pump. There's two moves that just never seem to hit the Pokemon
I've
ever.
gotten so lucky connecting sleep powders with even despite that 75% accuracy this season.
Like fuck it, man. I've had better. I would rather run Focus Blast. and run Stone Age. Even
That's I
though,
don't know about that. That's another one that I don't think I
man,
could touch.
I think I've been very even with Focus Blast. I think I've had times where it's missed, and I've had times where it's like,
Mm.
yeah, boy, it's about it.
On the
And I
DS,
see
I
that.
had a really good track record in X and Y of usually hitting Focus Blast.
Oh, that animation for Focus Blast
Yeah,
is so cool though.
it
It's
felt
like
so good to get off every single time.
it's like a pew. It's so cool. But yeah, like it just missing Stone Edge and shit like that. It just fucking frustrates me. It's just Jesus Christ. But it, as I said, to tie back to it, Pokemon, like no other game has that like charm to it.
No, no, it doesn't.
No
No
other game
competitive
has
game
that.
has that.
Like it's just you could be like you could literally curb stomping someone, and then all of a sudden the game decides maybe not actually.
Yeah,
Well, it's like, well, yes, but actually no, you don't win. You're guaranteed to not win this game. Which actually kind of, to be honest, it adds something interesting to it because it's like, like with some games, like if you if you do correct things, if you do like if you play competitively something, like and you look at it, and you're like, okay, I'm guaranteed to win. In Pokemon, you're never guaranteed to win,
never,
and you're never
never,
guaranteed to
never.
lose. You're never guaranteed to win unless all
No,
six Pokemon drop off that screen. You're never guaranteed to lose, or
correct.
yeah, never guaranteed to win.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
just don't ever say never say GG early, and never ever ever, right? Because okay, I'm gonna make it. Okay, just tie you back to this, right? I know I'm probably taking up a lot of your time,
No,
and
no,
I'm
you're
sorry.
not. No, you're not, Steven. You're not taking up any time. I'm here. I'm here to do this. I'm here to do this.
Like, actually, like, what was it? Like, so there's a really good game I think people should look at, right?
Okay.
It's an old game from Shofu, right?
Oh man.
In black and white, where he fought Max Protect, okay, right?
Uh huh.
That is single-handedly one of my favorite games I've ever seen anyone ever play, right? That
Mhm.
next to CBB and Blunder, CBB and Blunder, CBB and Blunder fighting each other in SPL. Like man, I think Shofu and versus Max Protect will always be a game that will stick with me because Shofu literally loses three Pokemon in the first like in early to like coming to mid game. He loses three Pokemon from 6-3, he wins 3-0. I'm
That's
like
insane. I mean,
it's honestly
Shofu,
one of
but
man. Shofu was like fucking really good in his prime, dude. That dude was unstoppable. And like seeing that shit, like seeing those kind of games, I'm like, dude, like it's just that's what makes Pokemon so like
yeah.
nerve-wracking.
I mean,
Because like there's sorry, go on,
no, no,
sorry,
no, no,
you
no,
were
no.
saying
I don't
something.
even know what I was gonna say. You had a thought.
Like yeah, so like you know, seeing that, right, and like seeing the amount of like concentration that he put, like you can literally tell as you're watching the game. You can tell he's kind of taking the game, whatever, and then he loses
Mhm.
like two Pokemon. He starts to sweat, and then he loses the third one. And he just stops the video halfway through, and he goes, "No, it's not happening," because no, because like I think the whole backstory to it was like he was talking shit to Shofu because they made like a video or something, and they were like
Mhm.
messing around or whatever, and then it was like a Pokemosh Pit video. If you remember Pokemosh Pit, do you remember
I,
Pokemosh
I
Pit?
I remember the name.
Yeah, dude, like that's a throw. That's a fucking throwback, man.
Oh yeah,
Jesus
it is.
Christ. But yeah, there's like I think the PMP uploaded something. I think he uploaded something to PMP or uploaded something to his main channel or something. And Max Protect, this random dude in like in his comment section said something like offhanded to him, and said he was like, and Shofu replied back to him, whatever, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'll beat you anytime or whatever." And there's just so much shit talk that happens, right? I honestly, I encourage you to watch the video because it's very
I'm
funny.
gonna watch it as soon
I
as you and I are done.
you watch that shit, man. It's so good. It's actually one of my favorite competitive games I've ever seen in my life. It's so good. Like just seeing, sorry, excuse me, just seeing how like seeing how like the game just gets turned around. It's just like it's one of my favorite examples to use
Mhm.
when like in a game like Pokemon, you're never guaranteed to win. Like never ever guaranteed to win. Don't
Never.
ever like be cocky in Pokemon because you will like that's where you lose. Like because you need to be on top of your A game. You need to always factor in things like crits. You need to factor in things like misses, like status. You have to factor in like damage rolls. You have to factor in the moves you use. You have to factor in your like you have to factor in everything.
Right. Yeah.
Like for me, what I normally do is I normally kind of like take a look at like obviously like pick apart their team and like you know focus and like if you lose a Pokemon or if you even lose two, hell if you even lose three, like don't say it's over until it's over. Because I've been in those situations where it's like
Yeah.
I'm probably 6-4 down, and I'll win it like 2-0 because I know for a fact like Pokemon isn't a game about numbers.
No.
With me, it's like I know a lot of people tend to like preserve their score. They're like, oh, dude, I 6-0 to dude, I 5-0 to dude, I 4-0 to dude, oh, dude, I 6-0 you like 3 times. It's like, that does not matter.
What matters
Okay,
is the
you
win.
can still exactly like for me, it's like I will sack everything on my team if it means I get a win. I don't
Of
care.
course. Yes.
If it's a 1-0, if it's a 6-0, it doesn't matter. As long as I win, I that's it for me. And like people like to cope and be like they like to take copium pills. And they're like, yeah, I nearly beat you, dude, because it was it's so close. It was 1-0, and they're like, and I don't mean it in a way like it's like, oh, dude, I was like, there's difference in saying
Right.
it. It's like
Yeah.
because if you like, it's like if you beat it someone and they're like, oh, dude, it was such a good game. It was so close. It was 1-0, like really good job. And you're like, yeah, it was a really good game. And then you have some people that are like, oh, dude, like, I know I lost, but like I took out like 5 of your Pokemon. I'm like, okay, but you still lost. So
Yeah.
like,
Like,
what
doesn't
do you
mean you're in
mean?
control. Like, I,
Doesn't
I
mean
think
you're
a
in control,
perfect
dude.
example, actually, just thinking about the season we're wrapping up in the NPBF, is you and me.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, it was you beat me like 3 or 4-0, but there
but that doesn't matter.
I had the there wasn't a window where I would have been able to come back and get you a 2 and bring it down to a 2-0.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Like
the
if you
score
like,
didn't matter. The score didn't
yeah.
matter.
And I think a lot of people tend to put too much emphasis, especially on draft too, when it comes to score. Like, oh, he's got a plus 35 differential. Oh my God. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, that doesn't really matter to me personally because I'm like, as long as he's picking wins, if he has
Yeah.
a 7-0 record with like 12 plus 12, and the next guy behind him is like 3-4 with like plus 35. I know that's ridiculous. I know it's just an example. Like, but it's just like it doesn't like for me. It's like points and scores don't matter as long as
No.
you play the game correctly and win. Like if you want to win, fair enough. If you want to have fun, right? That's different. That's another topic for another day, say.
Yeah.
But like if you want to win something, don't like I hate like I hate sore winners and I hate sore losers. Like
Oh
it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
if you wanna win, go for it. Don't like be like, oh dude, I could have won if I'd done this. And I'm like, yeah, you could have, but like it all comes like I know hindsight's always 2020 when you
Yeah.
come to like playing something because you're like, I could have done this, I could have done that, I could have fucking clicked this move or I could have done that, but like for next time. I
Exactly.
think like, especially with like when you lose something because I think losing is like the why is more wiser teacher than winning
It
because
is.
if you
It is.
lose you can pick apart like for me when I lose I pick apart everything. I'm like okay even like I like a great example is when I first fought Jeff the first time and I was like I lost 1-0 to him, and I'm like, okay. And I'm like, I was like looking back, I was kind of annoyed. I was like, fuck, I should have won that. But then I was in the shower and I was like taking a shower, and I'm like, I remembered as something I was thinking in my head. I'm like, fuck, I could have done this. And I'm like, well, look, the game's over. For next time.
Yeah.
Okay. So don't beat yourself down too hard about it. Just prove it the next time. And even if you don't win the next time, even if you do manage to like bring that, even if you manage to lose and you still like do everything correctly, then again there's more to learn, there's more to like take back from it. Like for me I'm like I never kind of like pat myself on the back too much even when I win because I'm like I could have lost it, I could have been critted, I could have lost it due to like
Yeah.
to team difference or something like that. Like I even if I win I'm like even if I won whatever score I'm at I'm like I'll still respect my opponent and be like good game regardless. You played well, played well with your team and stuff. Like that's at the end of the day, give yourself like I don't give myself like too much credit, but I give myself credit. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah,
just
and you should.
and like don't like especially for a lot of people because like a lot of people get frustrated when they lose consecutively. I'm like, okay, probably take a bit of time, learn from your mistakes, don't make them again.
Right on.
Don't be like, oh, dude, like I'm so fucking bad. I'm terrible at this game, and I'm like, I do this. Like I think, and they're kind of like really like self pitying themselves. Like, no, you know you're good. You have potential to get better at the game. You may as well fucking use it.
Oh
Don't
yeah.
fuck around a bit. Like don't like count yourself out. You know what I mean? Like just do something. Like you have to like have like if you go in with a loser like if you go in like with a loser's mentality to it, you're gonna lose. Like you know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah.
what good is like oh what good is like self pitying if you're gonna constantly like go in with that attitude and get absolutely destroyed. You may as well turn it around and may as well do something with it.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I totally agree. You learn more from a loss than a win. Um, and you just got to be confident in yourself because if you're not confident in yourself, you're not going to do well.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, I have two things that I want to circle back to because I think they're really funny. You spoke briefly about your Tyranitar missing all eight of its stone edges. I once saw a video of a guy on BattleSpot in XY where he took Rhydon with a quick claw and horn drill, procced the quick claw all three times, and then landed all three horn drills.
For fuck's sake, man. That's where like literally that's where my eight Stone Edge misses went to. It went to that guy having quick claw, popping three times, hitting all hard drills. I guess it's like balance.
It
Balance
was
doesn't mean
so
everything should be.
funny. And then the other thing, talking about games, we both have acknowledged that we both follow Cooper. I think another great game to watch if people haven't is they should watch two of Cooper's games from the GBA. One against I believe the channel used to be uh the team was the player was Nips. The team was like the Long Island Red Rockies. And then, but even before that, a game he had against Crobat for the win, where they
Oh yeah, yeah,
the
Corbin for the win. I remember that dude.
the he, somehow he got a sick he played two different 6-6 timeouts on 6 gen with
Jesus,
two different people.
fucking hell, that's insane. That is absolutely insane.
Yeah, games like I love watching Cooper. Like you watch Cooper, you can learn so much just about Pokemon and about drafting. I'd say
Yeah,
the same about Mega Mogwai, but all his Pokemon videos he unlisted or privated or whatever. So don't bother looking for him. But like I gotta look up that Shofu Max Protect game after
yeah,
this.
it's such a great example of like never count out when like don't never count yourself out because like I'm telling you, man, like I think like especially like with a lot of people when they're playing Pokemon, they tend to take like they tend to like be like another thing too. I'm gonna go on like a tiny little bit rant. I know you want to end it and stuff, but
No, no,
I
no,
really want to say
no. You're gonna probably say the same thing I was gonna say.
but like the biggest thing I want to tell people right when you're playing like Pokemon is like um don't like sometimes like you need to just play the game as you're playing the game. Like say what's the what am I trying to think of here? Like don't don't be like predictions and stuff are obviously like important in Pokemon.
Right.
And like but I think game sense is probably the most like important thing when it comes to playing Pokemon because you know like tracking things and keeping an eye on stuff and like using baits and pivots and stuff like that like just like
Mm-hmm.
and some people tend to like over predict or like predict just to predict
Right.
like yeah you may like it's like I think a good example of this is like I was watching another game a while back. It was like SPL or something and it's like this dude had like Bisharp in versus Starmie and like the correct play for him was to knock off the incoming Mandibuzz,
Mm-hmm.
so that way the lefties was gone, and then he could wall break later on with something else. But he pursued trap Starmie, and it's like that's because he predicted Starmie to switch. I'm like, yeah, good prediction, but like in the long run, you you didn't win that. You didn't win in a short run. Yeah, you won against Starmie, but you didn't win in the long term because now that Mandibuzz is still at full health, and you can't break with like
That's a
something
great
else.
point.
Like don't ever like predict for the sake. Don't predict in the moment. Like always think about your end game, right? What do you want to play against? Like what are you playing against? What you want to win with and what you're going to win with. Like what like say if I'm running Bandit Cartana, for example, and I see a Zapdos and I see a Melmetal, right? I'm like, okay, right. And the rest of his team dives to Cartana. I'm like, okay, I need to run Cartana effectively here because
Right.
4 out of 6 of his mons are weak to Cartana, but then he has Zapdos and he has Melmetal. All right, I have Heatran, I can bypass that, you know. So like use what you have available. Like don't just spam Leaf Blade consistently because you know Cartana's gonna get like kills or something like because there's things there to check it. Like always like keep tabs on the game, keep tabs on how much Pokemon have.
Mhm.
Always go for stuff like to utilize your end game. Don't just fucking like don't just like predict. I was like, oh yeah, dude, I pursuit trapped you. Now you're gone. I'm like, okay, but like at the end of the day, you're still gonna lose later on to that Mandibuzz because it's at full health. You didn't knock off its lefties. It's gonna PP stall you out. It's gonna like fuck up your life because you didn't knock off in the incoming switch because you just wanted to get flex and just like beat the Starmie. It's like no, you need to play effectively if you want to win, and
Mhm.
don't just like predict for the sake of predicting, and don't just predict because it's flashy or it's because it's for the do it for the vine kind of shit.
Oh my
Just
god.
like like just like fucking just like always utilize your end game. Always use everything you have available. Always analyze like literally analyze everything. Analyze everything that your every move your opponent has.
Mhm.
Always analyze what you're going up against. Like don't like waste away like lots of like don't waste your way chances to win, because like again like yeah, fair enough, everybody can win and everybody can lose in this game, but you also have to utilize you have to make sure you secure a win effectively. You know what I mean? Like just don't like fuck around and like try and predict for the sake of being flashy. Like just think about your end game, plan your game out. Because a lot of people just don't do that. They just lead Landers, and it's like, oh yeah, Landers is perfect, dude. Set up rocks, lure to dur. Like just kind of like shit like that.
Yeah. It, yeah, they don't you don't think, but sometimes you got to think. So that means you and I had two different things we were going to say. Yours is a very valid point. What I was going to say was listen to Steve and what he's talking about. Score doesn't matter. Stop forfeiting the games when it's not like 6-1
Yeah, yeah.
or
Like
like
just
it's a foregone conclusion and you're just forfeiting to save time because you're just wasting time to
yeah,
continue the game. Like if you're like 6-4, 6-3, 5, whatever, play the game out. Play the game
yeah.
out, guys.
Like because like as I said, like anything could happen. It literally might be an unwinnable situation, and you 99% of the time you are probably right, but just lay it out. Fuck it. Anything can happen. Like Pokemon, anything can literally happen. You could get
Literally.
that. You could literally set up the +6 and get a bullet punch crit on his Zapdos and kill it. Like fuck it, why not? Then you win.
Yeah.
The rest of his team is just Weavile and fucking and Sylveon's. Like you just win. Just like play it out. Don't count yourself out because you're down two or three Pokemon. Just play smart. Play aggressive when you need to. Play defensive if you need to. Like just play the game out. Fuck it. Like don't forfeit it out. I know like once in a while you can do that. Like some people do that. I have done it a couple of times. I'm like fuck it, this game fucking sucks. Blah blah blah. It happens sometimes. But like
Yeah.
just for the most part, try and play the game out. Don't just forfeit when it seems like it's over because literally anything can happen in this game.
Yeah. Quite literally. Quite literally. And on that note, I'm going to say this right now. If I see any of you motherfuckers doing that in the playoffs, I will personally do something about it.
Man, I'm literally like I'm actually gonna like drop a fucking an atomic bomb on you. Like I'm genuinely gonna do it. Like I
Yeah,
don't care.
like don't we want to see playoffs. Everyone's here to do the game and try to win. Don't fucking forfeit just cuz you think you're not in a good situation, especially if the game is like not that far in or not or close. But whatever. I'm going to get myself worked up. Steven, it's been incredible talking to you. It really has been. You are, if it's not clear to anybody by now who has sat through this whole talk you and I have had, you are an incredible wealth of knowledge when it comes to Pokemon. All generations, your history, your references and your ideas and your thoughts and just the way you think. It's an incredible brain to pick. And I mean, I think we've been sitting here for 2 hours. I think you and I could have gone another 2 hours easily. And
Jesus Christ, we've been here for 2 hours.
we've been here for 2 hours. You and I could have done another 2 hours, and I still think,
God,
and I don't think we would have been dragging our feet.
Jesus Christ, man, fucking hell! I didn't even realize the time. It just went by.
The only reason I know is because I got a time is because it's telling me how long this is.
Oh fucking hell!
But it
Jesus,
has not felt like 2 hours.
it really hasn't.
It's been
It feels
such
like
a
it's been thirty
pleasure.
minutes.
I could talk to you about old gens all day, quite literally.
like, dude, I honestly thank no, but seriously though, thank you for having me on. Like, I really do appreciate it. Like, I like the fact that I get to talk. It's not very often I get to talk about Pokemon like this in depth. Like, I would like to do it again sometime if you ever
Oh,
do get the chance. But like,
absolutely. I mean,
I would like
you
to.
can just privately talk to me this in depth about Pokemon whenever you want to,
Yeah, that's true too.
and you can do that with
That's fair.
Deshaun. But I would love to be able to have you speak to me or others or like really do this kind of conversation again. And I think that will definitely be possible, something that we can do and look forward to in the future is having a very in-depth conversation. I'm gonna spoil it right now. Actually, I may have talked about it in a Liam interview as well, but I do plan on doing these again when we start our next season, post draft before the season starts, so I can get so that we can get everybody in, talk about the drafts, mindsets, whatever.
That'd be interesting. That'd be really cool because you can get like literally everyone's perspectives and
Yeah,
everyone's like. I like that. That's actually really cool.
yeah.
That's really
So
cool.
we're gonna try to do that, and I look forward to sitting down with you for at least 2 hours talking about your draft.
Perfect. It's been a pleasure, man. Thank you so
It's
much.
absolutely been. Steven, do you have any final words to say before we sign off?
Goon Squad for life. Always hit Stone Edge. Never miss Stone Edge. I don't know. Run. You should probably run. You should probably utilize stuff like Lantern. Okay, just Lantern's pretty good. I'm an advocate for Lantern. Okay, use Lantern. It's a good Pokemon. Use Celesteela Lantern. It's a good core.
If we do 8th gen, I might consider it next season.
Also, Toxapex is the best Pokemon. I don't give a fuck what anyone says.
That one I might disagree with you with, but
No, no, hard agree. No, man, Toxapex is the best Pokemon ever created. Fuck Garchomp, fuck Salamence, fuck Volcarona, fuck all those Pokemon, right? Toxapex is the best Pokemon ever created. I don't care. It literally has four moves and it's the best Pokemon ever. One Pokemon can do that. Sorry, like man sets up Toxic Spikes, man scalds, man's recovers, and he has Regenerator. Like, what more can you want in a Pokemon?
oh my god.
Like, literally, no, I'm being serious.
No,
I'm
I
actually
know.
genuinely
I
serious.
know. That's why it's so funny to me because I'm just thinking here like, "Oh my god, he isn't wrong."
Like, look, man, Tangrowth Pex is like my boys,
That's
right?
evil. That is such a
No,
bad.
they're my boys, man. They're my
That
boys.
is
Just like
that is I
Tangrowth.
never thought of that as a core. That's a disgusting core. It
Right?
goes
That
to
was so
show how much
stupid.
I've played post 6th gen.
I've used that in the my first draft was Tangrowth
Oh
Toxapex.
my
Those are the
god.
boys. The tanky boys, man. They're the MVP. They're literally the MVP of that entire draft.
Well,
And like
hopefully next time you and I talk, Toxapex is something we get to talk about.
yeah, for sure. I'd love to talk about. I'd literally talk about Toxapex for about 5 hours. Even
well,
though it's like, yeah. Yeah.
well, if you guys made it this far, thank you. I do appreciate it. Um, if my mic quality was off, I'm out of town. I had to use somebody else's mic, but it's whatever. Um, if not everyone sat through this 2 hours, I don't even care because I loved this. This was great just for me. Uh, I don't think anybody else is going to be 2 hours. I have a feeling that's going to just be you, Steven. But
Oh Jesus
if no, but
Christ.
if you set a precedent and we get to do these long in-depth talks, I will not complain.
Perfect. Okay, perfect. I like that.
I look forward to doing having another one of these with you in 4 to 6 weeks.
As and when
Maybe
you
more like 6 weeks.
okay. Fair enough.
Depends how long playoffs take and how long of an off season we do. 6 to 8 weeks I think is probably a safer bet.
Yeah, all right, fair enough then. That's grand.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. Seriously.
Of course. Alrighty, guys. Look forward to more playoff content. We have 6 more interviews coming after this, assuming that these are uploaded in the order that they're recorded in. We'll be covering the playoffs games. If we're lucky, we'll do a live commentary on playoffs. Uh, I'm not promising that one though, but we are gonna have a lot of good playoffs content coming up. So I hope you enjoyed, and see you next time, guys.